Elon Musk has responded to the report from Project Veritas showing a Twitter senior engineer saying that the platform is biased. They do censor conservatives. They don't censor the left. The company is commie as F. And the best part is the engineer says he works like 4 hours per week and just shows up when he feels like it or just takes days off. I'm sure your new boss, potentially, coming in would love to know about how you guys don't do any work. I'm willing to bet Elon's going to go to his investors and these other, stockholders and people giving a loan and whatever and be like, I'm pretty sure I can save you a lot of money because these guys are getting paid to do nothing. We also have another release from Project Veritas. Who was the guy at Twitter? What was his position? I want to make sure I get it right.
Lead engineer.
Lead engineer saying basically get woke, go broke. So you've got a guy at Twitter saying wokeness is hurting their ability to become profitable or to generate profit. And he is absolutely correct. We'll talk about that. Of course, the other stuff with Elon Musk basically freezing the deal because he wants evidence of the bots, proof that's less than 5%. And he's even called on the SEC informally to investigate. You were going to
Yeah, I got to ask, was this guy who was saying he only works 4 hours a week, was he on a date?
Yeah.
So that's a very weird thing to brag about on a date. Yeah, I'm super lazy. Like, I'm not a productive person.
My bit on this was, when I was seeing the leak, Veritas does this all the time where they have women go on Tinder dates. There's got to be a short film, or we got to do a skit where it's an engineer, and she's like, tell me more. And then, like someone texts him and it's like, you're being he's a sting by Veritas. And he confronts her and he's like, is this all I was to you? She's like, no, when it started it was, but now it's something more.
Exactly. It's a natural Mr. Deeds story.
Yes. And then she's like, I don't want to do this with Veritas. I want to be with you. Like, I don't know if I can trust you. And then, then they get together in the end. James O'Keefe is the villain. He's got twirling a mustache. He's like, no, I'm against love. All right, we're going to talk about news, I guess. We got Jordan Peterson getting roasted because he called there was a fat chick on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and he said she was not beautiful and it was authoritarian. And there's look, I think what did Seamus say? You got wisdom in choosing your battles or something?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. Pick your battles kind of thing. I'm a fan of the doctor.
I want to start only calling fat girls authoritarian now.
Yes.
If you're fat. All right. I don't even know what the rest of we have other news apparently.
There's some other stuff.
Yeah, Joe Biden did something. He's criticizing Tucker Carlson. We'll see. We got a lot of Elon stuff. Oh yeah, gas prices. A gas station I think in the Pacific Northwest ran out of gas, and they're preparing for 4-digit gasoline prices. So thanks, Joe Biden. Joining us to talk about all this is Jamie Kilstein.
Hey everybody.
Who are you?
I am just here trying not to get canceled again. I'm a
wrong place to come for that, buddy.
No, you guys are beloved by everybody. That's what I was. That's what my PR agent.
Well, not
told me.
Lydia, but the rest of us are.
Definitely.
She's the one getting us canceled.
Yeah, thanks, Seamus.
Lydia's so likable.
That's why they hate her.
I'm a comedian. I'm a comic. Let's just say that. That's much easier than my fucking sad story. I know.
This guy's already swearing.
Already blew it.
It's all good.
We're 3 minutes in, so we're good.
I know.
Yeah, actually, the rule on YouTube is you can't swear in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
And then
You're not like if you swear a lot, they start pinging you.
Yeah.
But the rule specifically is like, did you swear in the first 30 seconds? No. All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah. So
All
it's
right.
like all right, whatever.
Good.
But there are children watching.
Sorry.
Well, I mean,
children.
I assume we have people who are parents who will like play the show in their car or something.
I love the idea of a child with a Project Veritas shirt who doesn't want to hear dirty words.
We also have Seamus.
Yeah, Seamus of Freedom Tunes. We're going to be releasing a new cartoon this Thursday, as we do every Thursday. I announced last show that we're going to be launching a paywall at freedomtunes.com. If you guys want to sign up to get notified when we launch on May 30th for $5 a month, you're going to get behind-the-scenes content and also an extra video every week, an extra cartoon every week.
Oh, that's what I was supposed to do. Promote my stuff.
Oh,
I'm
No.
Hold on.
No.
I'm
It
so
says,
used to
do my thing first.
I'm so used to
Go
doing.
to freedomtunes.com.
I'm so used to doing podcasts where I'm in trouble. Like back in the day, I would just get introduced as, hey, funny man, you've seen him on Conan O'Brien. And now there's like a 5-minute intro, like once a darling of the left until things got dark. Yeah, I host a podcast. It's called a F Up's Guide to the Universe. I'm so bad at marketing. F Up's Guide to the Universe. We have everyone from porn stars to John Cleese, and I talk about being a screw up and getting through it and tell you not to kill yourself, and it's great. And
So the interesting thing is one of the big stories we have is that Elon Musk announced he's voting Republican. He's not going to be voting Democrat. And there's an interesting story there for I mean, obviously for many of you, for me personally, for those of us who feel like the Democrats have gone nuts, but you got canceled by a lot of people on the left. So we'll get into all that stuff.
Sure.
But I think your experience will play into the story pretty interestingly.
No, I'm psyched about that.
Yeah. Did you already mention?
I did not introduce myself
okay, well,
yet.
ladies pressing buttons.
I am also here. I'm pushing buttons in the corner. I'm stoked for tonight. I think it's going to be hilarious. I'm really interested to talk about this lady. I don't think this is in any way authoritarian, but we will get into it.
Before we get started, head over to timcast.com and become a member if you would like to support our work. As a member, you get access to Timcast IRL podcast segments. They go up at 11 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You are supporting all of our journalists, and we've hired several more, and we are currently interviewing more and hiring more. If you like the work we do and you think we do a good job, please help us expand the mission. We're launching new shows. We've got a bunch of crazy new ideas, but you're also supporting infrastructure because, as I've mentioned 50 billion times by now, we use Rumble's cloud infrastructure. It's a new service. It is more resilient to censorship. The more that we support business that utilize the service, the more that you guys directly support the service, more competition develops. It weakens Silicon Valley censorship. It allows these ideas and these conversations to exist. Support our work if you believe in that mission. But don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Let's jump into the first story. Yo, this is cool. Elon Musk finally responds to Project Veritas sting in which Twitter engineer says all workers there are commie as F and that they hate the billionaire Tesla boss. He said, "Is this legit?" That's it. That's what he said. But those 3 words mean so much. In the viral video. So actually, I think so I posted this video. It's got like 6 million views. It's a Veritas video. I posted it because it was newsworthy. Ends up people are blowing it up and putting it like crazy. And I'm like, all right, cool. This guy says he only works 4 hours a week. I think he basically says people can, and like he did. I don't want to say that he always does. I don't know exactly what he's trying to intend. But he also talks about how the company is just left, how they all hate Elon. He talks about how the right will tolerate the left-wing speech, but the left will say, if you don't ban them, we quit. So Twitter basically says, okay, ban the people on the right because the people on the right don't care. All of that being confirmed. But in those 3 words, is this legit? Elon Musk, who is currently frozen the deal. He's delaying it, saying, prove your bots. And now everyone's saying, oh, he's trying to shake him down or he's trying to get out of the deal. I still think Elon Musk knows what he's doing. I still think he has a good likelihood to win. I think he's likely exposed fraud. And with this Veritas video, Elon Musk may now be able to actually renegotiate the deal. That's the big news. Because a lot of people on the left are saying Elon Musk was willing to forego due diligence, saying we'll do the deal as is. The contract is the contract. Right? Apparently the Twitter board is saying, no, he's got to buy it. With this video release, though, Elon Musk can be like, whoa, wait a minute. You didn't disclose the work hours. You didn't disclose censorship or political ideology. But more so, I think the work hours in this is going to give him an ability to try and go back at the Twitter board.
The real victim is the woman on the date who had to hear all of this
Right,
on a
seriously.
first date. That is a lot for a Tinder date.
Brave women.
And I got to tell you, Project Veritas journalist.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a meme where it says, if you are an engineer at Twitter and a beautiful young woman
exactly.
wants to know about your job, it's James O'Keefe.
Yeah. Do not say anything.
I think that's the easiest way to put it. Like,
It's so funny that there's no Edward Snowden-esque leaker, and literally all you need to do is go put a hot chick in front of a tech nerd, and it's over. You've just blown the company.
This is why. So I'm watching this leak the other day, and I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't seem like a bad dude. He says that he's okay with Elon buying the company. You know, he's become more left, but he's, you know, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. He's telling people like, this is what's happening at the company.
Well, and he's saying it's bad for business. It doesn't even sound like he's being ideological. He's like, this is hurting the place I work.
But the sad thing is, you know, he meets this young attractive woman on Tinder, and he thinks maybe he's finally found love. But it was James O'Keefe the whole time. You know what we should do? We should do a skit where we get a guy talking to a beautiful young woman, and then he's like, wait a minute, something's off. And then he grabs her hair and he pulls it off. James is
Every
sitting
time.
there.
It's like actually James
It's
O'Keefe.
actually
under the
James
mask.
O'Keefe. They pull the wig down, and then James is literally, he's sitting there in a suit. He's got a microphone. Tell me more about what you
He's
were
there
saying.
in the pimp suit.
Yeah.
I'm going to have nightmares about that
Sounds great.
forever.
I love it.
This is the sting operation. It's young women on Tinder, and it works.
I mean, it's genius.
It's brilliant. It
It's
really
so
is.
basic,
I
it's
think it's legit.
genius.
I think it's legit.
Well, and I think it's because, like, man, when it comes to this stuff, especially in this culture where, like, no one is encouraged to cultivate any self-control when it comes to sexuality, I think a lot of young men, they're like, okay, this, like, could be a sting. Like, there's a probability, but I'm just going to try anyway.
Yeah, that's why no one
It's
nowadays wears condoms anymore. It's
Yeah,
just
go
the
for it.
whistleblower equivalent of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if we are being arrogant, and maybe this dude, what's his name, Siru, he might be swimming in women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might just be kicking back with his own pimp outfit, and he's like, just another girl at 7 o'clock. Make it quick, lady. In 10
I mean,
minutes,
he only
gotta-
works 4 hours a week,
I mean,
right?
yeah,
He's got a lot of
time,
time on his
yeah.
hands. Maybe he does just have a bunch of different girlfriends. We don't know that.
I gotta give
He thought he
another-
was playing her.
Yeah.
Maybe he's spying on her for another organization.
gosh,
Like,
yeah,
we don't
maybe.
know. Maybe he's wearing a hidden camera.
He's trying to take down O'Keefe. It's just like this circular reign of hell.
Dude, can you imagine how paranoid James O'Keefe must be on a date? He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, all right, eventually this is coming for
I
me.
know how this works.
Yeah.
He's just always trying to shake them down from microphones.
He's like, I gotta run it through the mic. Melt.
So
He's like, let's go to the beach for our date. Yeah, well, we'll go swimming.
Yeah,
we'll go
we get-
swimming.
yeah.
Sarushti, I gotta admit, I do feel bad for a lot of these people that get caught by O'Keefe, because I don't think not every single person that gets exposed is a bad guy.
Right.
No.
This guy is he's a senior engineer. He's in this environment. He probably doesn't know or care about what's going on culturally. He knows a little bit, and he's like, yeah, this is what's happening. And so now he's forced to be a whistleblower, basically. But I still respect and think what James is doing is completely legitimate. I mean, it's real reporting, and if we can't hear what these people are saying and doing, and we don't know what's going on in these companies, bad things happen.
Right.
So this guy getting, basically admitting everything. And he's different from a lot of what we've seen. When we've seen like that Google woman and she's talking about stuff, it's like you've got people at big tech companies talking about how they set policy, how they do policy. This is a guy on a date who's like, yo, this is what my company is like. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
So now he's deleted his Twitter account. I think he's deleted his LinkedIn. The Twitter has issued a statement to their tweeps. That's what they call it.
That's the most offensive part
Cringe.
of all
Yeah, I'm
this.
super offended by that.
Tweeps.
What is a
So,
tweep? What is a tweep? Is that a customer or is that someone who works
That's a
there?
worker.
Someone who works there. So
Yeah.
here's the
Wow.
email.
I mean, he didn't mention that on the date.
Yikes. Yeah, no wonder.
Funny.
He's still too
It was
ashamed
like,
of that.
Yeah,
It's like
really.
they call
Right,
us tweeps.
It would have been funny if he just started crying. He was like, they call us tweeps. All right, so we have this this Instagram post from Veritas. Targeting of tweeps, says the email. Tweeps.
Oh
I
my.
can't believe I'm reading that. As we expected, a video was posted this evening by Project Veritas depicting a tweep allegedly speaking about a
Stop
number
it.
of company issues. We're in contact with the person involved and doing everything we can to help them. There may be more videos to come, and we're continuing to monitor the situation. Help them? Help him, you mean? Why are they saying them?
Them they.
Are we learning
Slow
something
down.
about Siru?
Yeah.
Well, but all right, is it not a little bit interesting that everyone at Twitter who didn't like Elon Musk felt very comfortable voicing their displeasure with him potentially taking over the company, even though he may have been running the place in the near future? But someone who has issues with the way Twitter is run now tries to be very quiet, and the only way we're able to get information from them is on hidden camera.
Right.
Right. It goes on. It says, please review my previous note on how you can protect yourself and your fellow tweeps from similar attempts in the future. If you think you are being targeted or have been targeted, contact blank at twitter.com, redacted. For safety and privacy of those involved, we ask you do not tweet about the situation or any related issues. Please remember that we all have an obligation to protect confidential proprietary information and not discuss internal conversations, policies, or products outside of work. Take care and stay safe. Pat, as soon as you sent the email out, they leaked it to Project Veritas.
Ding.
So that last message right there fell on deaf ears for sure.
Whoopsie.
Oh, good though. I mean, so, Ciro may not be somebody who's stepping up and willing to speak out about what I view as corruption within the company. Somebody is.
Yeah.
Somebody, is showing what they're saying behind the scenes and exposing what I would view as malfeasance.
Also, are there any hot blondes that can go undercover and find out why I'm shadow banned on Instagram?
There you go.
Can we just start just hiring our own hot girls to
That's a good
find out?
idea.
That's
I'm
Thank
imagining the
goodness.
same scenario with like a hot young girl talking to Mark Zuckerberg and how he would
Has
be.
no idea how to respond.
Yeah, he would just be like staring at her blankly. And
Yeah.
she's like, tell me about your work. My work is good. It's like, okay.
Start speaking to her in binary. Like, all right, I have no idea.
011010111.
Okay, buddy.
What's happening? No, I don't know. Zuckerberg's married, I think, right? Isn't he-
Yeah,
isn't he, like,
yeah,
ma-
he's
with
got
married
a
the
daughter,
family?
yeah.
I do always think it's stupid that people try and do these arguments where it's like, if for some reason they don't like you, they attack your manhood.
Yeah.
But
Why?
primarily on the left. I always find that funny.
Yeah.
Like, why is it that people on the left who are the ones who are like traditional masculinity isn't a thing, and then they're like,
Objecting.
you're an incel? It's like,
Well,
okay, I don't know.
well, because one thing the left,
Because
they
everyone's
don't
hypocrites.
believe. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
The left doesn't believe the things that they espouse. They know that conservatives are generally more sensitive to the idea of whether or not they're being considered masculine, or at least they assume that. They're constantly trying to like break down gender barriers, but they think, oh, if I challenge his manhood, then I'll be able to manipulate him into doing what I want.
Everyone has the same fears. Everyone has the same insecurities. Everyone's a hypocrite.
Not
everyone
me.
uses the same stuff except for this guy.
Except me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except Seamus, yeah.
but I'm like it's like they go after Ben Shapiro. First of all, I've heard over and over how short Ben Shapiro is.
Yeah.
Then we go and meet him,
He's
and
not
he's
that
like
short.
normal,
Shorter
like
than
average
Taller
height.
than all of us. He was like 6'7". It was crazy.
He's like 6'3".
Another live from the liberal
What
media.
if-
Ben Shapiro was like
Ben
7
Shapiro's
feet
just
tall.
yoked.
Dude, he just dunks on all of us, like literally.
They actually built an oversized set because they want
he
people
had to look
no
normal.
Ben, I think he's like slightly
5'9".
about average.
Yeah, he's
and I was
5'9".
like, oh, he's
Oh,
like
sick.
average.
He's taller than me.
Oh,
Great.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Tight,
But
tight,
they,
tight.
they-
You
they-
didn't have to tell people that.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
just
didn't.
gotta-
They all know.
But they
Honestly.
lie about his height.
Yeah.
And then they also call him an incel. And Ben's just sitting there with his kids and his wife, and he's like, I have a family. And then you're like, I don't understand why.
if it's a
Who are they
doctor.
trying to hurt?
Yeah. Go after ideas. Go
Yeah.
after ideas. That's all
Yeah.
you have to do. If you have any merit to yours, go after ideas. Like anytime it's like when you're fighting with your girlfriend or boyfriend, and the second you realize you're wrong, you just like change the subject and panic. And you're like, oh, you said you were gonna cook the last week, and it's just you're panicking. You're doubling down and you're panicking, and you're short. All right, bud, you're out of ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's true. There are so many. It's funny because you bring up relationships. There are so many different communication habits that you see predominantly on the left that would be deeply unhealthy in any kind of relationship.
Right.
So, for example, they assume that they know that you have some kind of like racist attitude inside of you or sexist attitude, and then they're just like trying to pick at your words in some way that'll justify their narrative. They like start with the conclusion
Right.
that you're a bad person acting in bad faith, so they can malign you. That's not how you have conversations with people. That's
Right.
not how you have conversations with people. It's
Yeah,
deeply unhealthy.
This is why I was saying the other day when we had Matt on, I was like, we don't do stuntmen.
Right.
Yeah.
Political stuntmen, people who make games of things and they're like infotainment stuff. I'm not going to invite them on. I mean, maybe, but people who have done it to us are just like out the first time they do it.
Yeah.
So if they try and pull any stunts to rage bait their audience and go, woo, look at us, we're culture wars, I'm like, we're not going to invite that guy. All right, we have a correction. We have a story from Veritas, but we mentioned earlier that the guy was a lead engineer. He's a lead
That's
client
my
partner.
fault. My fault.
But let's read this story with a tweet from Lydia Lederman.
Oh.
Who's
says,
Who's that?
Breaking.
Lighterman.
Lighterman.
Yeah.
I pronounced it wrong.
Yeah.
Twitter lead client partner says woke ideology responsible for inability to profit. Affirms Twitter not here to give people free speech. Refuses taking Elon Musk seriously due to Asperger's making him special.
There we go.
Well, now here's the issue. I like the first thing he said, but the ableism just gets to me. It
is problematic.
It's
as they-
problematic.
as they
let's
say.
Let's hear what this man has to say.
Well, right now we don't make
Okay, let me fix the audio. 'Cause
Let's
I
switch
always
it back
Wait.
to the
Also,
computer.
is this another date?
I think so.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, this is how you do it. Well, to be fair, these
Well, right
guys
now-
probably make pretty good money, so it's probably pretty easy for them to get dates.
Sure.
All right, here
I
we
mean,
go.
look, if you're a guy on Tinder, you're completely right.
I got very excited when you said WMDs. I'm like, finally one I'm allowed to agree with. I agree with that one. Don't get me in trouble. I remember that. I remember the war in Iraq. It's bad. Follow me on Twitter.
So this guy,
My favorite, by the way, was during that kind of slurred rant, seeing the person he was out with slowly pick up the wine glass as he's just rambling and out.
What did
By
you
the way,
notice?
I also one thing I loved is like the way he said it. He's like, "Oh, people can make their own decisions." Like, okay, great.
Pretty much.
So I noticed something. Did you notice something about this video that is different from the other video? I don't think you saw the other video though.
It's
I
a
did notice
dude,
something.
right?
It's a
Yeah,
dude.
It's a dude.
That means it's not Tinder. That means it's
Grinder.
Grinder.
Oh my. Ooh.
It's a grinder date.
Spicy.
That would be
advertiser as my business is what I do every day, and why I go out is like we want it to be as fair and transparent and accurate as possible.
Yeah.
And if that means there's a level of censorship to make it correct, quote unquote, again, and what does correct mean? I guess like it just kind of goes back to the idea of like, well, what is correct?
If we're implementing all these rules that and Elon wants to dismantle them, then technically our ideology has led us to not making money because we're not making money. And Elon wants to turn it the other way so that we can make money. There's a statement they need all 7,000 people to say. And so they can't tell us the real truth.
He has Asperger's.
Yeah, I know that.
So he's special. You're special needs. You're literally special needs. So I can't even take what you're saying seriously. Targeting of tweets.
Wait.
You can read it.
Let me see. And how to protect yourself. Groups like Project Veritas are active.
Oh, he's so full of it, dude. I'm sorry.
Group
At
that's trying
that second, I would end the date. I'm like, okay. Oh, you don't know how to pronounce Veritas?
No,
100%.
No,
You don't work.
that's the Veritas journalist.
That's the
No, I
important-
know.
yeah.
I know.
I
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the. He's
right,
obviously
right.
trying to
Too
cover the
much.
fact that he works.
Yeah,
He's like, what's this
So funny.
Project Veritas?
Veritas.
He's like, I've never heard of this wonderful sounding organization. Why does Twitter dislike them?
Jams, Keith.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna go back a little bit. He starts talking about it.
Is that?
It's like some group that's trying to just out the employees. Like they're trying to
Yo, this
go
is
on
from-
dates with them.
This is from like yesterday.
Bro, this is like, how
Amazing.
obvious does a trap have to be?
Yeah.
Project Veritas. He's like, let me tell you everything I think about that.
You know what I love? Acorn.
Yeah, hey, yeah.
He's like this wonderful organization, Acorn. They got destroyed. It's
I mean,
crazy.
this
No reason.
person, this is the ultimate. If you are doing a sting operation and your mark shows you your other successful sting operation, it's just gold. You're just like, I
this
am
is the
killing
best.
it.
By
I
the way,
love
well,
it.
this is the fault of those dating coaches who are telling people to repeat every incriminating thing about themselves on their first date with a stranger.
Wait, is this a big thing?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Oh,
I have
great.
no idea.
No, because I've
Apparently-
definitely done that on first dates where I was just like, sit down and let me tell you a tale of a website called Jezebel. I've done that on first dates.
So it's like
Do not suggest.
Yeah.
the Twitter guy sits down and he's like, "Hello, I'm John, and you're Janet. Nice to meet you. I commit crimes at Twitter. I disparage people who are lesser than me, and I want to rule the world. And that's our goal for the company. And we're going to steal money from people." It's like, well, that was something weird to lead with. I guess. All right, let's play more.
Also going
Like this and record them and then go sell it to the New York Times and say this is what the Twitter employee just said. This is what's really happening. This is what they're telling us to not
Sell it to the
do.
New
You're
York
lucky that
Times.
you met me organically because I would be questioning everything about you.
That's brutal. Oh, they just put that in there to hurt the man. They
Oh,
just put that in there to hurt the man. There was
What a
no reason to include that in the
my
story, dude. That's a cartoon. That didn't really happen. No, none of that really happened.
Into the camera. We are being
He
set up
looks
right
at the
now.
camera.
Tim, this is to set
Someone's
you up
filming
for
us.
reporting misinformation.
Oh my
Exactly.
We are
gosh,
all
that's
being.
what
We're
this
not
is.
falling for it
This
right now.
is- it's a
We are
trap.
going on
This-
record. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap.
This is the skit.
This is not
I
real.
met you at a bar. How could you
unreal.
do this to me? I didn't mean to.
He's like-
we were viewing the news.
You're not part of that Project Veritas. You would never hurt me. This is ridiculous.
Dude.
I'm
You-
telling
you-
you, we're about to hear sirens. The house is being surrounded right now. This is us being set up.
Right.
1,000,000%. No, they're like filming us. I don't know, through the computer somehow. Oh my gosh, we have webcams on our computer.
look at
We're
that.
being set
No.
up.
We're being
They
set
want to
up.
see your response to it.
Let me play this. Let me play it again.
Us to not do. You're lucky that you met me organically because I would be questioning everything about you.
Yo, that was
Like, look
That
right at
hurt
him.
my soul.
that was. I know it's like very creepy. Like he gets real close, turns.
does get close.
I would be questioning.
Yeah.
He knows. Do you guys think he knew?
I mean, it looks like it, but he said everything he wasn't supposed to say.
Right.
Yeah.
But he literally looked into
Yo,
the
yo,
But
Yeah,
this guy's
hold on.
suspicious of Project Veritas, and he goes on a date and tells
knew.
the
No,
person
he knew.
everything.
And shows them the email
Shows
saying
them
not
the-
to do it.
I don't know.
I got to tell you guys a story. I once worked for a news organization, and we were getting spear phishing emails. So, do you guys know what spear phishing is?
Like the actual sport, or is it some weird political
Email.
term?
It's a hacker term.
Yep. See, I knew it.
So phishing is when you'll get a random email that says like, sign up today, click here.
Yep.
You do, and then it tries to get you give your password. A spear phishing attack is when they spoof an email. And so we were getting emails from higher ups at this company to us saying, hey, there's a big story. Check it out right here. And I'm not an idiot. So as soon as I saw it, I laughed. It had like the wrong title for the staff member. I brought it to the CTO, and I was like, "Hey, we're getting phishing attempts." I was like, "Maybe it's just me," and he was like, "No, everybody got it." And I was like, "Oh, for real?" And he's like, "And 25 people clicked it."
Oh my god.
And I was like, "Yep, go figure." And then I was like, "Didn't they realize their boss wasn't that position?" And they were like, "They didn't think about it." And so They locked it up right away.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really good. So then, a few days later, we all get basic phishing attacks, where it's an email from a company that I've never heard of, and it's like, sign up today, click here, and I laugh. And so I go to the CTO again, and I say, I'm getting more phishing attempts. And he's like, I know. We'll deal with it. And then a few hours later, a company-wide email from the CTO goes out saying, guys, I told you not to click these links. If you've clicked any of these links, you now need to reset your password with a link. And as soon as I saw it, I went to the CTO and I was like, bro, this was the best spear phishing attack ever.
That's incredible.
The CTO never sent out an email. That was the attack.
Clever.
And then he was like, wait, what happened? And I was like, it came from you, dude. They spoofed your email. They were, it was masterful.
That is.
And they got in.
Oh, suicide
And
watch.
so
Holy
here's
cow.
why I bring this up.
Those hackers are hilarious.
I was laughing.
It's so
and the
funny.
CTO was like, he was stressed, but he was like, that was good.
That's incredible.
Like, it was a very clever manipulation. Like, it was a 3-layered attack. But here's why I bring the story up. For one, I love that story of like the hacker move, how they broke into the system.
I'm in.
But the best part is this guy working for Twitter is sent a warning email from their people like, guys, be on the lookout. Don't do this. And he goes, I'm going to do exactly what they told me not to do with this stranger.
out.
Look.
He's like, I'm gonna get some tail. Also, these are not sexy stories to talk about on the date.
really.
Like, if you're getting that email, just bring up something else, dude.
I'd like to issue an apology and retraction. It was not a Grinder date.
It was
Oh,
not.
no.
Was
They
it
did
They
meet
met
organically.
they met
organically.
They met organically.
Yeah.
Right,
Dude,
right.
I can't
At Grinder HQ.
Yeah.
I can't
Just
wait
pacing
to.
outside.
I can't wait to finally see the Veritas video where it's like at the altar at their wedding. He's like, and he's just going on about his job and the corrupt things they're doing
Showing
there. And
him
the priest
that
is like,
video
sir,
and the vows, being like, look at this crazy.
like, look at this email. Like, it's their
priest
25th wedding anniversary.
The priest is like, we will now have the bride and groom read their vows. And then he's like, when I first met you, I was working for a large bank. I was funneling money to private corporations in Panama.
Oh my gosh. No, dude. And the priest is like, he's a fake priest. He's also in and out. He's like, if you have any
James
incriminating
O'Keefe.
information about yourself,
O'Keefe.
you may now say it. And then,
Her children from a past marriage have tiny mustaches and are
gosh,
wearing
yes.
trench coats.
Yo, we have to do the skit. We have to get James in on it.
We have to.
that would be
100%.
hysterical.
Like we get like a small young woman sitting in front of the guy, and he goes, "Wait a minute!" And when he grabs her hair and pulls it down, it's just a full like 6-foot-tall James O'Keefe
Great.
in a suit.
Oh my
This is like the
got me.
Twitter version of To Catch a Predator, where every time
Why don't
they're
you take
like,
a seat
I'm
over
going to get
there?
away. You're not from that crazy MSNBC show. And then Chris Hansen, we do that with James O'Keefe. Like, why don't you have a seat?
Why don't you take a seat over there? What part of you thought this made any sense?
Dude, I'm not kidding. We should legit do
would you
those.
do?
That'd be funny skits.
My legit
it'd be
advice,
hysterical.
by the way, when you're out on dates, ask about the other person.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
seriously. They're like going
These are
on about themselves and
insufferable
their
dates.
business.
So these people are getting caught monologuing, which we know is not something good.
Insufferable.
Exactly.
For a first date,
I gotta say too, I genuinely think this guy knew what was up. He saw that email. He's like, "Here's a guy. I'm gonna meet him in a
he
bar.
did
and I'm gonna
the-
tell him
yeah, he
everything."
did
No,
the
I-
villain head
So
tilt.
weird, right?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
I
but
know.
if you met someone randomly, you wouldn't think it.
But he just got that email. He is a tweep.
Also,
That's the
some of
bottom
these
line.
people are just sociopaths. They're just narcissists where they're like,
Yeah.
I'm picking up people randomly. I don't have anything to worry about, blah, blah, blah. Instead of, meeting organically is almost more suspect
Yeah.
than Tinder because Tinder, there are so many options. I mean, essentially, this dude just walks up to you. I mean, you were targeted. That to me is easier to spot.
You think so?
Do you think that Veritas has like a dossier on the Twitter employees? And so they send out like a young dude to this bar and they're like, your target is this man. When he pulls out the photograph and he's like,
Like
I'm going to
this
go on
is
a
his
date.
type. Like
Yeah.
looked up like exes on Facebook and stuff.
Yes.
And then he
do I wanna
shows
work
up
for
and
Project
sees him.
Veritas. This sounds very fun.
It does sound fun, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah, until you have to break their heart.
Oh, yeah.
You guys think this is a laughing matter?
No, I would fall in love.
That's
with
why
it.
we
I
have-
fall in love with my
Exactly,
Mark.
they break
In a-
your
in a
heart.
we've already written
heartbeat.
2 really funny bits we should do. One is where it's like the teen drama where the jock dates the ugly girl because he was dared to do it.
That's great.
It's like,
A
I
walk
thought
to
you loved me.
remember.
It's like,
Yep.
I do.
Yep.
It's become something else. But then the other one is the sting goes all the way to like to marriage.
That
No, I want it to go further. Like, I would do it where, like, it starts with them getting married. And then there's, like, the next thing is a guy's 25th wedding anniversary. The next one is, like, in the hospital dying with his wife he's been married to his entire life.
Like,
This thing
very-
after
wait,
that
wait,
is,
wait.
like, both of them
very
buried
Rick
and
and
dead.
Morty. Yes.
Strangely, periodically, there's different men like like doing work and they're all James O'Keefe. Like one day they're like
The milkman.
Who still gets milk
the
delivered?
cable
Shut up,
guy
honey.
shows up. just gonna fix the cable here, and he's just like positioning
window.
his jacket.
He's like literally setting up cameras. Like, no, it's the cable. It's for the
I'm
cable.
fixing the cable.
Dude, I'm not kidding. We should legit do it. All right,
Yeah,
let's-
1,000,000%.
I will stay
Let's-
another day to film this.
Yeah,
let's
do it.
we'll see. We got to have James fly out. So here's another story. This is more political. It's kind of crazy. It's Elon Musk again. Newsweek reports Elon Musk says he'll vote Republican for the first time in the next election. Elon Musk, one of us. What's it? Google Gobble? Google Gobble, Elon
Yeah,
Musk.
yeah, yeah.
If I see him shortly, I will tell him Google Gobble.
Yes.
Do you guys know the reference?
It's from a really old movie.
Freaks?
Yeah.
Where the woman is like at the table and all the people are going Google Gobble. They're playing on the
Creepy.
table. One of us. So Elon Musk, he basically said, I have voted overwhelmingly for Democrats historically. Like, I'm not sure. I might never have voted for a Republican, just to be clear. Now, this election, I will. Newsweek says they're not sure if it's the midterms of the 2024 presidential election, which is a weird thing to add considering he said the next election, which is literally the midterms, but sure, whatever. Elon Musk has continually been posting memes about either the left losing the middle, the left going too far left, or of him being like, yo, I'm a moderate and this doesn't speak to me and things like that. It's interesting now. I tweeted, maybe the left should stop and reflect on why they're losing so many people. They won't do it. The responses I got were people saying like, the ultra rich guy who doesn't want to pay taxes. No, of course he wants to be a Republican.
That's why all the billionaires are constantly promoting right-wing policy.
That's right.
Well, but real quick. Since 2012, as we've covered on this show extensively, Democrats have been the party of the wealthy. It's been reiterated in 2021 with more data showing higher income earners are aligned with the Democratic Party. Elon Musk just paid more taxes than anyone's ever paid in history. And why didn't he vote 4 years ago Republican when he was already when he's still a billionaire?
I've seen everyone from my broke jiu-jitsu friends to people who have health podcasts over COVID, over Trump because of the Twitter wokeness, slowly go more and more to the right. You know, people wanted me to go sort of like full right-wing actual grifter after my cancellation happened, and I didn't do it. And so when I talk about this stuff, I'm actually talking about it from the left. I, as someone who is still fairly liberal, sees the left being pushed farther and farther away because it wasn't Republicans who were shutting down their businesses or gyms over COVID. It wasn't, you know, I have friends who they're professional athletes and suddenly it was Donald Trump saying to go outside and exercise and Democrats saying if you go for a walk, you're going to, you know, kill your aunt or whatever. All the wokeness, all my comedy friends who love Dave Chappelle, and even if they don't agree with everything Dave Chappelle says, suddenly it's the left trying to censor their favorite comedians who, you know, I mean, God, when I was watching Chappelle in New York, he was going after Bush, going after the war in Iraq, like talking about the war on drugs. Like he's always been a liberal dude. I'm watching these people go from disenfranchised, I'm sick of the left, I guess I'm not really a Democrat, maybe I'm independent, to a lot of them just going, you know what, conservatives are cooler right now. I'm gonna go. I did a show in Houston and there were these three little goth kids in the front row and they were tattooed and they were like 21 or something, and I asked them, I thought they were super liberal. I'm like, what's it like being liberal in Houston? And they were like, nah, F that, man, we're conservatives. And I was like, you look like undercover Antifa agents. Like, what is happening?
You're like, yo, bro, watch this PragerU video. You're
That's
like, what?
Yeah, you want to go do DMT and talk about the free market? Like, it was that. And it's like,
Great.
yeah, man, we are pushing these people away. Like, it has nothing to do with privilege or wealth. Like, I'm talking to normal people. I've lived in Arizona and Texas the last couple of years, not in Brooklyn, not in Los Angeles. And yeah, and their grievances are valid. I don't know if that would make me full conservative, but the stuff that pushed them away, I don't disagree with.
Are you sure? Are you sure the left is pushing them away, or maybe Turning Point USA is just making really good memes?
That's
Oh, yeah.
it.
That's probably
pulling
it.
people
I got to
over?
tell you.
That's what it is.
It was 6 months ago that I was a hardcore socialist,
Oh.
authoritarian, you know, just absolutely. And I wore uniforms every day. And then Charlie Kirk smiled at me,
Yeah,
and I
that's
was
what
like
it
a
is.
bolt of lightning.
Oh my God, it was another James O'Keefe setup, dude. Why'd you let Charlie Cook smile at you like that? They got you.
They got me.
Good to
They
see
got me. No, this is interesting because, like, the left has, in my opinion, has gone absolutely insane, and it's exemplified in a lot of ways. One, I love playing this video from the Juice Media It's an old video from 2010.
I briefly thought you said from the Jew media, and I was like, well, here we go.
What's going on?
This is the episode.
This
My
is
last
the
name's Kilstein. Everyone calm down.
You're like, I'm coming here not to get canceled.
Good work.
All right, well, let's play it. Hit up the Jew media, everybody.
The juice.
Juice.
They're actually like
Orange
they do
juice.
produce a lot of progressive stuff today. But there's this guy Hugo Ferrand. I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong, Hugo. He did a thing called Rap News, and Rap News 6 is about Cablegate with Julian Assange. In this video, they're defending the release of effectively defending the release of the cables from WikiLeaks, criticizing Hillary Clinton as the secretary, keeping secrets from the public, and threatening to prosecute Assange because Australia's in the American empire and they control this stuff. Alex Jones is in it, screaming that the globalist, commie Nazi fascists are coming.
Hell yeah.
So that depiction of Jones is the 10 years ago when he was like, the government is evil and they're trying to take over. Now they're claiming he is a Nazi. He says in the end, they're trying to turn back the clock on freedom of speech. And so I'm like, if you praise Julian Assange, say that they're trying to turn back the clock on freedom of speech, say Hillary Clinton is bad or wrong, and depict Alex Jones as someone fighting Nazis, you are right wing. But that video was progressive left in 2010. Now, of course, you could say, well, that's just what happens. Conservatives, people who are progressive, eventually the whole society culture shifts left. And I'm like, no, hold on there a minute. That's ridiculous.
No, that's a great point. I remember, in my super progressive days, being like the Clintons are tied to Goldman, they're corporate, blah, blah, blah. Then Trump goes, they're tied to Goldman. And it's like, well, he hates women. Now, what Trump left out is like, well, he's also part of the swamp, right? Like, so is his team. Like, they're all corporate hacks. However, it's also true. Like, I've been saying that about Clinton forever. Liberals have been saying that about Clinton forever.
This is why I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I'm like, I don't buy it, I don't believe it, I don't care. In his first term, Trump does appoint, I'll always just say Bolton Warhawk was one of the worst ideas.
This is nuts.
And he had to get rid of him, and Bolton betrayed him.
Yep.
And there were several people that he brought on. But I quickly then saw that Trump was, whatever he is, outside of that establishment order. He was no new wars. He was pulling our troops out of the Middle East, and I was like, I'll take what I can get. And if Biden's the other choice, then then I'm gonna vote for Trump. So I feel like Elon. I feel like, wow, I guess I'm gonna vote for this guy. But even Vox.com said Trump was moderate, right. And that was back in 2016, and I still was like, I'm not gonna play this game. But now let's throw it back to what we had last night when Matt Binder was here. I'm traditionally like my political position is that of like a 2012 liberal Democrat, probably not. I wouldn't even call it moderate or centrist. And the argument the left says is if you have stayed the same place from where you were 10 years ago, then of course today you're conservative because the younger generation is more progressive. And that's what happens. Right. Like they say things like, yeah. And in people from 1954 were like, this 1964 Civil Rights Act is too much change. I'm just a regular person from 1954. And I'm like, eugenicists in the 1900s and 20s also thought they were the future. They were not. They were wrong. Just because you have ideas doesn't mean they're the future. You could be wrong. So I'll say this to the Elon thing. I thought it was absolutely fascinating that we had on a progressive who was arguing with me, and my position is pro-choice. And he was like, we were so far apart in our view on abortion that he believed I was conservative. And Seamus is the conservative pro-lifer.
Dude, I think
you're the problem, Seamus.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the issue. No, I think he wanted you to be pro-life more than I want you to be pro-life.
I agree. Like the arguments were
right, and you want to do it for babies. He wants to do it for Twitter.
But no, yes, but no, it's funny because it's this is something you and I have argued about like a number of times on the show, the abortion issue. Like Tim is not, and we've got heated. Like Tim is not on the like conservative side of the issue.
No, definitely not. It's the traditional liberal side.
I'm glad that you guys make Lydia be quiet during the abortion.
I know, that's the only good thing about this show.
No, she's, you know what? Guess whose side she's on, bro?
Oh, I know. I follow her on Twitter. I see
he knows.
I
He
see
sees it all.
And my old woke brain is like, I can't argue with her. She's a woman.
That's right,
horrible.
Jamie,
Yeah, that's when you pull the woke card.
I know.
Anytime someone tries to go after your pro-life, be like, my body, my choice.
I guess,
and the button, not to be too earnest, but the bummer of that is when I'm talking to someone. I mean, Lydia and I were talking about abortion because that's how I small talk before we went on air, like downstairs. And
so that abortion.
Yeah, that's it. That's my first Tinder date I'm speaking into someone's microphone. Is when you have someone who is even moderately on your side, that is the time, instead of looking to pick them apart for Twitter or whatever, that's the time to actually talk about compromise. So like Lydia and I were talking about, and me and her are pretty far apart on this issue, but we were talking about things we agreed with, like things that kids should be taught, like access to contraceptions or sex ed or, whatever. And if one side just goes, you want to kill women, and the other side just goes, you want to kill babies, it's like, well, there's not a ton of middle ground there. But if you find someone who goes, I'm pro-life, but yeah, in the case of rape and incest, like I'm torn, that's your opportunity to have a conversation with them. If you have someone who goes, I'm pro-choice, but having an abortion, like, man, like 6 months in, like, that seems kind of rough, right? That's your chance for a pro-life person to have a conversation. And then you guys are talking, and then you can actually come up with some sort of, well, how do we stop unwanted pregnancies, or how do we work on that? Because that's a solvable issue.
Or, well, I think there's a couple things, not necessarily just like stopping unwanted pregnancies. Like, how do we find a home for children whose mothers did plan the pregnancy? And then also, because one thing I would disagree with is, so I don't believe in any exceptions, but Tim and I have conversations about it pretty frequently. I do think the conversation can be open, but there has to be a belief that like you can reason with the person. I think that's really important, and we've kind of lost that. And like in some cases, it's warranted, unfortunately.
Seamus has made some good points that even in the past month, my position's shifted. It's not
we
like
call it the first trimester.
Well, no, so Seamus mentioned, I was thinking about this earlier. You were talking about how abortion was the intentional killing of the baby. And this was like a month or two ago. And I was like, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about if the term pregnancy has to be ended for some reason. And then you were saying yes, and that abortion would mean killing the baby. And I said, that's not true. I was wrong. And then, because just the other day we pulled up the CDC definition, which literally says an abortion is a termination of a pregnancy that does not result in a live birth. Meaning, if you would legalize abortion post viability due to the risk, due to the pregnancy causing a risk to the pregnant patient's health, as the law read, you would be saying terminate the pregnancy and not result in a live birth. Why do that when you can just? I know I don't want to get into the issue. I want to just make the point that was sort of like a realization for me. So anyway, I want to take it back to the politics, because otherwise we'll just talk about abortion forever. It was fascinating that, Matt Binder is a modern leftist or, progressive, what do you want to call it?
We used to be buddies.
And he's arguing with me as though I'm not pro-choice, because he said that he believes a woman has the right to abort a baby at 9 months electively for any reason. And that's what we saw with Eric Adams recently. Jen Psaki, I think before she left, said Joe Biden believes there should be no restrictions. We saw it with Northam. We saw it with Kathy Tran. I read the bill from Colorado, which outright says get this. The Colorado bill not only says there can be no restrictions, it says a fetus, embryo, or fertilized egg has no rights under state law.
It gets crazier, and it goes back further than people realize. In the early 2000s, Obama, as a senator, voted against the Born Alive Act.
Yep.
Well, so...
Well, would you say that is the extreme version, just like these things being floated right now about making miscarriages a crime or birth control a crime? Like, would that be the extreme on the other end, or would you not equate the two because babies?
Well, I don't know anyone who's saying a miscarriage should be a crime. I haven't heard anyone argue that.
I
think people.
Wasn't there that
I think people will
Mississippi-
say that like certain abortifacients should be, but I don't know that they're talking about birth control in general or contraceptives in general.
Got it.
Yeah, and I think when we hear stuff like that, it's simple enough to just be like, Seamus, do you agree with that?
Right.
Do you
I
think
also-
this?
I don't think but part of the problem
it's
is
like,
the
okay,
whole part of that. It's like the framing bothers me because I don't know anyone. I mean, I know a lot of pro-life people. I don't know anyone who says like a miscarriage should be penalized.
Right. But so here's the way I see it. It's like, okay, let's try and have a conversation. If someone is convinced, like, I don't know, I saw this story, it said it was true, I'd be like, okay, well, I think that's wrong. Right. We agree.
Well, and then
we
I
agree
can
on this.
also go, oh, I don't know. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. Maybe it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, I was even ashamed on like a pro-life level. I was sort of ashamed that I didn't really. And again, I've never said I was an abortion expert. There are, feminists and whatever that know a lot more than me. But there was a part of me when I started getting Republican friends and this I just started rounding them up. And this came out. I was so used to throwing out my pro-choice tweets. I, had them locked and loaded, know the formula, blah, blah, blah. Call Ben Shapiro short, whatever it is.
If abortion is wrong, then why is Ben Shapiro short? Explain
Maybe
that.
you should have thought about
He's like,
that.
honestly, okay, look, to be honest, I don't actually have an answer to that question. He does have me there.
And then suddenly my feed, for the first time in my life, my Twitter feed is like, yeah, well, I guess they just want to kill babies. And I was like, wait a second, I don't want to kill babies. And I literally realized that I never had researched. Like you were saying, Tim, like I don't know. When does it feel? When does it? I actually did not know the answer. And I think, again, if people were willing to go, I don't know. Or if pro-life people, instead of just, we're so used to, we have to defend our stuff. We're on Twitter. We're on the news. We have to stick to our talking point. If you can take a second to go, man, like even you said you're not for abortion in any cases, but to take that second to go, dude, I don't know what it would be like to be a woman who was raped and to have to give that baby to term. Right. And yeah, we should talk about it. I'm not for it, but just I feel like neither side will show empathy.
Amen.
Yes, and that's what we need to do. And then we can disagree, and then we can talk. But probably if we're both showing empathy, we can go, okay, this person's actually a decent human who you're doing what you think is right. If you think you're saving babies, then I must look like a monster, right? If I think I'm saving women, vice versa.
I got to disagree with you on this. The right is notorious for being memed as the debate me side, right? Ben Shapiro, why won't you debate me?
Oh, right.
So if I make a YouTube video, there's the rule and the exceptions. If I make a video and I'm like, I believe, conservative policy is, or I believe policy is wrong, conservatives will comment and they'll make arguments at me. If I say policy is wrong and it goes against the left, they'll call my advertisers. They'll start contacting, various companies. I'll start getting angry emails. I'll get death threats. Yeah. So when you say there's no empathy, Seamus and I can disagree on the issue, every day, and we laugh together and we hang out together.
Oh no! To be clear, I was saying both sides. Trust me, I've been canceled. Like I know the left does it. I was saying. These conversations are important. The fact that you disagree and you can still make jokes about it, like that is what's important. And it's weird that
the more I'm saying, I disagree. It's not both sides.
Okay.
It is the rule on the left and the exception on the right. The left will not tolerate deviance. The right might not, but typically will engage with what is more likely to have a conversation with you. This is why we see the Elon Musk poll. This is why Elon Musk feels the way he does. It's why so many people who watch this feel the way they do. I can't speak to your experience, but you look at
good.
But people who are you're on the left, and then all of a sudden they destroy you, and then people on the right are sitting there drinking a beer, like, you want a beer, dude? Like, tell us what happened.
Yeah, I mean that is actually what happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say you said you rounded up a bunch of right wing friends. I think they rounded you up. They're like, a liberal who got canceled. Get over here.
Right. I was telling my friend the other day, if I wrote a book called From Feminist to Freedom Fighter, I would be a billionaire. Just me holding the flag in a giant red pill. I would have so much money. I'll write it at this point. I've had enough of this. By the way, this whiskey is very, very good.
Happy.
And so strong. I take a sip and just my body is just lit for 5 minutes.
See, he knows whiskey. Lauren doesn't. She put that in a paper cup.
No. The only reason I'm not hammered is because they warned me about what Lauren did, and I was like, that's why it's next to my giant water bottle. I'm sipping it very slowly.
Lauren just grabbed a $1,000 bottle of whiskey and was just pouring it into a paper cup and drinking it.
Wow.
And then I didn't realize, and I looked over and I was like, Lauren, are you pouring the Pappy in the paper cup? And she's like, what's that? What's this?
Let's be real. It's kind of a flex. It's a little bit of a flex.
It's legit. Yep.
Yeah, good for her.
I'm like, this is like a special drink.
I almost drank it out of a coffee mug. Me and Lauren are trash people.
That's all good.
So anyway, look.
What you were saying is, Lydia and I were talking about this too, which is one of the weirdest things that happened was I could have made money and needed money, and I didn't want to be a center right version of the pretentious liberal that I was, because that's what got me in trouble. It was being a self-righteous loud liberal. Then I have an affair and they go, ha ha ha, you're not perfect. That was the story. Any comic on stage who did what I did, who talked about it, especially talked about it with like regret, like, yeah, I wish I didn't do it, it was awful, you know, no one's getting in trouble for that.
But so you this is what you got canceled over on the left.
Yeah. And so, but in the feminist world, a consensual affair got called sexual misconduct. Consensual one-night stands got called predatory behavior. And I was like, it's insane.
Remember Aziz Ansari?
Yeah.
He had a bad date, and she was like, it was assault. And he was like, whoa,
Yeah.
what?
The Woodward and Bernstein reporting of Babe.net. Is that the article you were talking
right.
about? It was literally called Babe.net. There was like no fact checking. I mean, there was a line in the Jezebel article written about me where it said a girl that I slept with, a woman that I slept with, literally in the article said something along the lines of, it was the safest I felt with a man. Something saying that when I'm with women, I treat them well. Mm-hmm. And then said, but a week later, he called me a road F on his podcast. And then Jezebel in parentheses said, Jezebel could not find that quote. And it's like, right, because I'm not talking about smashing road poon on my feminist podcast with my wife, you psychopaths.
Yeah,
but they still printed that.
Yep.
And that was enough. And that headline will still come up when people are looking for me. I mean, I've had to have something people don't think about with cancellations. Like, I've lost tons of gigs. Still, this is 8 years ago. I am a literally different man. Every relationship I've had, try explaining to elderly conservative parents of your girlfriend what the Me Too movement is or what an open relationship. Like, there's just weird stuff that will haunt you always.
But I do feel like if you're meeting your girlfriend's conservative parents for the first time, and you want to explain to them cancellation, you can be like, a bunch of libs were lying about me and trying to cancel me, and they'll be like, we got you.
These feminists,
I mean, yeah.
You know what? That is probably the move I should do.
Do conservatives not ask enough questions?
What do you mean?
I'm giving you a hard time because you're like, yeah, no, I got canceled by a bunch of liberals. And they're like, oh, nice. Not like, for what? What happened?
Yeah,
No. They're going to say, I get it.
Yeah.
They're going to say, oh, I know exactly what that is.
Be like, let me bang your daughter and we'll drink these liberal tears together.
Yeah, that'd be great,
Because if you're like, if you Google search me, there's some bad things that come up, they're going to go. But if you say, a bunch of feminists got mad and started lying about me.
They'll be like, we hear you, brother.
Yeah. They're going to be like, you poor man. And then the father's going to be like, I approve of this relationship.
Yeah.
You know what? That's my go-to excuse for anything I do wrong ever again. I'd be like, dude, a bunch of feminists lied about me. I don't know what the hell that is. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But we have a recording of you say it. Nah, it was from feminist recording is what that was.
Even with my family, my mom's like, your brother said that you did this. I has a bunch of feminists lying about me. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about
Seamus,
it.
like, you're at a Trump rally and you fart and some woman calls you out.
I'm like, it's a bunch of feminists.
She's a feminist, and they're like, oh, she's lying.
Yeah,
You didn't
You're all right,
you didn't see Antifa run by fart and then jump into the bushes.
It was literally an Antifa super soldier farted right behind me.
So before the show, you were asking me, like, if I had a moment where I moved or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, I'm in essentially the exact same place I've always been, except for like gun control.
Right.
Because I was moderate on gun control. Now I'm basically 2A absolutist, and I've even argued the Constitution guarantees the right of an individual to have nuclear weapons. You want to change it? I'm not saying that it should be that way. I'm saying people had cannons and frigates and privateers and all that stuff. So for me, I didn't change. But the issue is conservatives didn't change either. Everybody changed a little bit. Everybody moved a little bit to the left. Actually, you can look at data from the New York Times.
Yeah, conservatives seem way cooler with like gay people.
Right, like Trump unfurled an LGBT flag on stage at like the RNC or something.
Did he do it gaily though?
I don't
that
know.
would have been the flex.
But he made
great,
a point about how the guy who shot up the nightclub. He was like, he's killing our people, and they clapped for it. They were like, yes, like that's wrong. And so there were a lot of changes that happened. Trump being okay with gay marriage was how a lot of people were like, okay, like this is.
I mean, Obama and Clinton weren't okay with it.
Right.
It got passed because Biden like slipped up on the View, right, or something like that.
So I'm watching this video from Rap News number 6, and pro free speech, pro Julian Assange, and I'm like, all of these positions right now, if you watch that, you'd be a Trump supporter. And this was back during Occupy Wall, like pre-Occupy Wall Street. When they actually, the Rap News guys filmed at Occupy Wall Street, and I'm in the video as part of a group with Anonymous, and we're like yelling stuff. Because when I found out that they were making the video, I saw it on their Facebook.
You started
and I was
spitting
like,
bars.
I know. I was like, let me in. Like, dude, I love this stuff. I want to be in. So I'm just like an extra in it.
Yeah.
As we're all like chanting or whatever. But if you follow them, if you believed in what they believed back then, you would be a Trump supporter today.
Right.
Well, I can't remember who made this point, but it was one of our guests. And they said, do you think anyone who was in a coma for 10 years and then woke up today would go, oh my gosh, things have gotten so far to the right. Like, do you think they'd read the newspaper and see current events and go, oh my goodness, this country's so conservative now?
I have I'll try and keep as much information, private as possible, but there are certain individuals of moderate prominence who were, let's just say, indisposed for a few years during the Trump administration. And when they came out, they were politically homeless and confused because the left was not the left anymore. So I used to hang out with a ton of people in the hacker community back pre-Occupy Wall Street.
Can they help my Google search if they're listening to this?
I mean, yes, they can.
You guys shoot me a DM, please.
But these are like reputation management firms these days handle all this stuff. So my hacker friends were pro free speech, pro edgy comedy. They were very, very into super offensive internet posts, trolling, goatsy stuff, shock content, lemon party, all those really awful things. Don't let your kids go look up.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Tell the kids
shift
about it
happened.
and then tell them don't look.
So there are certain people who
Well,
end
they'll
up,
pay the price for that
there
lemon
are
party.
certain,
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
certain hackers
but
who
don't
end up
look.
going to prison.
Yeah.
With a limited access to news and the internet culture.
Yeah.
They come out, and then all of a sudden, they're like, all right, where's the left? And they're like, we don't like free speech anymore. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, all the things you used to say and do that we were friends with you for, if you do now, we will punish you.
I mean, Louis J. Gomez, the Legion of Skanks guys, were called Proud Boys. Louis J. Gomez, who is Puerto Rican. They're some of the funniest comedians in the world. And I did shows with them a couple weeks ago. And their audience is, if you just follow Twitter, you would assume it's an audience of Nazis. And their audience is diverse. They are sweet. They just like good comedy. But now, your friends get out of jail, and Ben Shapiro is the only one defending Dave Chappelle, where the right has suddenly taken on Dave Chappelle. And the left it's just, again, isolating and alienating comedy fans. Now, I will say, on the other side, and I think this doesn't have to do with left or right, it's just tribalism in general. I remember something that really disappointed me was I went on a bunch of right-wing shows and I stayed liberal. I went on Glenn Beck's. It was great. We disagreed with some stuff, but I got to talk about Palestine on Glenn Beck's show. That's dope. And we mainly talked about tribalism. And I did a bunch of other right-wing shows. And again, you're a grifter if I go on a right-wing show and I start saying things I don't believe in for money, right? If I go on Glenn Beck's and I'm like, we can build a wall, and it's just stuff I don't believe in. But I was still myself. So I get like hundreds of new followers and a bunch of people saying the equivalent of, I don't agree with you, but I like that you're trying to bring people together, blah, blah, blah. Then George Floyd gets killed, and I start posting a bunch of don't kill black people. Nothing crazy. Not old preachy Jamie. Just don't kill black people. And which, again, even Trump and Pence ended up saying that was bad, right? And I remember people, even on my Instagram, which is usually less of a cesspool than Twitter, were like, looks like feminist cuck Jamie's back. Here we go with lib stuff. And the fact that I got canceled by some fake feminists implies that I have to be pro George Floyd being killed. Like, that's why I think tribalism is the problem.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And right now the left is doing it worse than the right, but it still happens on both sides. Where don't pretend you are above my politics and think I'm a good guy just while I can be used as a prop.
Of course.
Where you can just point to me and be like, oh, look at that guy. He's anti-woke. He got screwed over by whatever. I'm like, I don't want to be anyone's prop. I can still have these thoughts that sometimes conservatives will disagree with, sometimes liberals will disagree with.
That's why I think it's the rule for the left, the exception for the right, in terms of that animosity. The left is very tribal. If you deviate on one thing, boom, you're right wing.
That's crazy.
The right, you'll certainly have people, people post at me and stuff and all the time as well. But for the most part, they're not going to, they might yell at you, but that's about it. They're not going to call your boss.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of it's just Twitter in general? Because when I meet liberal people at the gym or on a date or conservative people, I think actually more people than we think feel the exact same way we're talking. You just get the lunatics on both sides on Twitter.
No, they're just trying to get info out of you because they work for Veritas.
Damn it!
Yeah,
I knew
sorry,
it.
dude.
But we met organically.
No. The right-wing lunatics aren't on Twitter. They're all banned.
That's actually a good point.
You're seeing the sanitized conservative movement on Twitter, and you're seeing the fringe of the left on Twitter. So this was bad for Democrats. And I warned about this like 3-4 years ago. I put it this way. You see two little boys with an adult woman, and she's got two little boys with her. One's just drenched in dirt and chocolate and ice cream, and he's all messy looking. The other kid is perfect and clean with a smile on his face. Yeah. And from the outset, you say, okay, that kid is a disaster. He's messy, and that other kid is clean and responsible. But the reality is, the mother just doesn't let the clean kid have ice cream. So the kid who's allowed to have ice cream makes a mess, and the kid who's not allowed to have it doesn't have the opportunity to make a mess. Right. When Twitter started suspending bad voices or voices they thought were bad on the right, they were making it so that the most prominent conservative people on Twitter were Ben Shapiro, you know, a practical, logical, moderate conservative guy, or I should say traditional conservative. And then the left is Antifa saying burn it down and threatening death. So a regular person goes on and says, oh, that's a little too much. Yeah. This allows Twitter allowing the left to say and do crazy things radicalizes people. It charges up the engine. But people on the right are like, I don't want to get banned, so I'm not going to say that. Right. It's actually making people on the right try and dress up and get clean, and the left is running amok, smashing windows and looking stupid.
Which is so funny because whenever my argument for when people would equate the extremes on both sides is I was like, oh, what, the left wants you to have like too much health care or wants to end all the war. But yeah, when you start advocating violence, it's like, well, no, that's who we're talking about.
Exactly. And so this is an argument that people on the far left are still making. So I saw this the other day when the far left was referred to. There were all sorts of lefties going, oh, what does far left mean? They really want universal health care? And I was like, dude, the positions you're describing all apply to Tim Pool, but he's called far right. It's like, well, obviously when we're talking about the far left, we're talking a lot about the social issues.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, policy-wise, I think I would not compare universal health care to bombing Iraq and Afghanistan. But then again, you have Democrats who are also droning weddings.
Every Democrat voted to fund one of the largest war packages in history with Ukraine.
The rest,
It's like, what, 6 times what anyone else in Europe has paid? Yeah. We put in $54 billion. Every Democrat, even the squad. Yeah. So, you know what, man, that is, it's funny when we have a debate or argument with, you know, Matt on abortion, and I'm like, this has never been a really big issue for me because, for one, I'm not a woman. I'm not a legal, moral, or theological scholar. I mean, I had a conversation with Glenn Beck, and ultimately I ended with like, man, I really just don't know. I just feel like there's a barrier for me, and I can't really, I don't have the answers.
Such a good, like that should be the answer if that. Yeah.
But war. Yeah. This one's always been very clear cut for me, and I know a decent amount about what we do, why we do it, why we want to enforce the petrodollar. I bring up all the time the Qatar-Turkey pipeline, Gazprom, all this stuff, and I'm like, it is bad that we are doing these things. If you can go from being, you're like, I'm on the left, and I'm like, okay, and you're the anti-war party, and then you vote for Joe Biden. Right. I'm going to look at you and say, huh? Yep. And then when Joe Biden's like, come on, man, give me the biggest war package in history, you're like, okay. I'm like,
he's folksy.
Yeah, progressives are pro-war.
Yeah.
Progressives are pro-war, liberals are pro-war, Democrats are pro-war, and half the Republicans are pro-war.
I mean, I discovered this. I got in a lot of trouble the one time and only time I went on the Conan O'Brien show because I talked all about drone strikes. But I did not talk all about drone strikes under Bush. Bush is when I started talking about war, but Obama was still using drones. So it was under Obama. And it was me and Kobe Bryant were the only other guests. So not exactly like my audience tuning in. And if you watch the clip's probably still on YouTube. It goes well with the audience. But I was told it was the most complaints they've gotten. And that's why my belief has always been just principles over party. That's it. It's if you're anti-war, be anti-war under Bush. Be anti-war under Obama.
Yes.
Be anti-war under Trump. Be anti-war under Biden. It's that simple. But the fact that there's such cognitive dissonance, and not only will suddenly they be pro-war, but then they're just getting defensive. And they're acting like you're a monster for criticizing Biden, or that Susan Sarandon's the reason Roe v. Wade's being overturned. It's absolute insanity.
I'm gonna cut them some slack and say, maybe it's not Joe Biden. So maybe voting for him, it's not really the problem. I'm kidding, by the way, but now I'm going to reference this story from Fox Business. Elon Musk slams Biden. The real president is whoever controls the teleprompter. Musk also warned that the U.S. ignores obvious cause of inflation. It could end up like Venezuela. And he went on to say that someone could bump the teleprompter and then Biden would just read it like Ron Burgundy.
Oh my gosh.
So what I mean
happens.
to say is
It's true.
we can't blame those who are supporting Joe Biden because Joe Biden isn't the president. Whoever controls the teleprompter is. But, well, if you put Joe Biden there and he is being directed by somebody else, then you voted for this. You voted for the war.
Can we also talk about my favorite part of that story was it was on Fox News before the show, and the Fox News anchor had to essentially explain what the movie Anchorman was. He's like, it is a satirical line from a comedy movie where laughter ensues.
Well, you know, the average, I think, what's the average age of Fox News viewers?
My grandma.
Yeah,
62 or
seriously. That's bad.
What's the Ron Burgundy?
The
Yeah.
anchor man.
Shout
It's
out
a
to
comedy
my-
movie. Oh.
Shout out to my grandma who sent me a happy birthday text. I did not have her saved in my phone.
Oh,
But
man.
but
we
because,
got toxic family stuff.
because I guess the whole show today is just like literally Elon Musk's daily business.
Dude, he's just loving life right now.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Just
I gotta look. I gotta throw back to this one because while we're doing the show, he responded to Benny Johnson, who tweeted about the guy saying wokeness cost them money, and he made the what is it, like a
Sad
depressed,
face.
sad face?
Yeah. Oof.
Yo,
Oof.
I'm just gonna say this.
They hurt his feelings.
The guy insulted him for having Asperger's.
I
Yeah.
think James
Pretty
O'Keefe may have just saved Elon Musk like $10 billion,
I think so.
maybe $20 billion. These videos coming out right now, I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds like it could give Elon Musk an actual legal argument as to negotiating a lower price, or even having the contract be broken, no fee. So if Elon breaks the Twitter buyout contract, he's got to pay $1 billion. If Twitter breaks the contract, they got to pay him $1 billion.
oh my god.
With these videos coming out, Elon's clearly seen them both. He can probably go to a court and say, they did not disclose to me these things.
Elon's kind of made Twitter fun again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has.
It's like almost like Trump.
Yeah.
Man, Twitter was so fun under Trump. 'Cause
When
it's like,
when people even, I mean, I was not a Trump supporter. I was still pretty progressive. But if you are really going to look me in the eye and say when the Democratic debate was going on and Trump just tweeted boring and all caps, that wasn't the funniest thing in the world. You're a liar.
good.
You are a liar.
well, I mean, Kafifi.
Yes.
It's got its own Wikipedia entry. and it said, despite the negative press, Kafifi.
yes.
And I think they were right, despite the negative press coverage, but then mashed it with their thumb and accidentally sent it. Or like put it in their pocket and it went off.
Wonderful.
Something happened and we got the word Kafifi.
Just delightful.
It was great.
Who
Those
was
were the
it?
days, man.
Was it Michael Malice, or am I misremembering, who said something like, congratulations to all the former Trump reply guys who can be Elon Musk reply guys now?
That's very funny.
That sounds like a Malice thing, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I wonder if the Elon Musk deal will actually end up going through now.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Maybe
He put Project Veritas up to this so he could get out of it. He's like, this is a mess. I don't want any part of it.
I
Just
low-key
wear
thought
some
that and
cameras."
was like, don't say it. Don't say it.
So then in the skit, James takes his mask off and it's Elon the whole
It's
time.
Elon. Yep.
No, I think it's fascinating though. I wonder if it. I mean, clearly this email went out. It looks like Veritas targeted Twitter employees recently. You know, it was the end of April, beginning of May. All this was going down. So it seems like Elon Musk might save billions of dollars thanks to the journalism of Project Veritas.
Have you met O'Keefe?
Yeah, we've had him on the
He's
show several
great,
times.
What's his deal?
Like cool dude.
Chill dude?
Yeah, Joel did.
It's fascinating.
Loves musicals.
Yeah.
Really?
He does. Yeah.
Well, turns out I'll get along with him.
yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he was in
you love him.
what was the musical? he did?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, he's
No,
in.
yeah, he's
He
great.
and he was like the main dude, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was.
yeah.
I think he was just doing an undercover operation.
yeah,
That's what it was.
Because only
Dude,
leftists-
anytime that's the thing. Anytime
Yeah.
he does anything that he could consider embarrassing, he's like, "It was an operation.
Yeah,
it was an operation."
He just busts in after I got so excited and so gaily was like, he did? Oklahoma? That's my favorite. They're like, busted.
He's like, actually, a bunch of feminists were mad about me. They spread that rumor. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
true.
true.
I was never in
It's not
Oklahoma.
I love it. No, James is great. Yeah, he loves to sing and dance. He loves Phil Collins. He's fantastic, dude. Yeah,
All right,
super
well,
cool.
time to
Yeah.
do some research on old James O'Keefe when I
Yeah.
get home.
He's
literally,
awesome.
the skit would be literally everything he does is a sting. So he's at like the supermarket and he's like looking shifty-eyed as he like grabs a box of Lucky Charms and like puts in his.
Why Lucky Charms,
Why
huh?
Lucky Charms, huh?
You
So
know
you're
why.
looking at
You
me.
know
Yeah,
why.
You know why.
You all know why.
It's unbelievable.
It's because you left a box of Lucky Charms in
I
we're
there.
gonna get
did leave.
ants.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I did leave a box of Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
You're not because
Like
it
a
was sent by a
filthy
fan.
Irishman.
It
Oh,
was
wait,
sent
hold
by
on.
a fan. It was sent by a fan. To
Wasteful
be fair,
Irishman.
So
I wasn't opposed to it.
Elon Musk is criticizing Joe Biden. And I don't know what else to say other than he's I won.
Well, I was gonna say something. Back to what you were asking me with the cancellation, and I also do wonder if Elon, with the "I'm going to vote Republican," is either trolling because you don't know who you're voting for. There are horrible Republicans, or there's also part where I remember when I did start to go on the right-wing shows, and 5 people on Twitter were like, "Oh, here we go. Here comes Grifter. He's going to go all Dave Rubin and become super conservative or whatever."
I agree.
And for me, I didn't, because I thought about it. I was like, maybe I am conservative, and then I did watch a Ben Shapiro video, and I was like, damn it, I'm not. And
You're like, nah.
but then,
But he did destroy you.
he did. Yes,
You're like, I got destroyed. It's not for me.
he was destroyed in the hallway.
curious?
Do I have what?
You were GOP curious.
I was GOP.
So you
yes.
turn the lights real low. You got under the covers. You put on Ben Shapiro,
Bro,
and you're like,
that's literally what I did. The first time I heard Jordan Peterson, I thought he was just going to be screaming to kill trans people. And I was like, okay, my heart was racing. I was like, I'm going to watch the Rogan. And he was like, make your bed. And I was like, I should make my bed.
He was like, I don't like large women on the covers.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Segue.
Yeah.
But I also remember having this moment, and maybe this sounds pathetic, but whatever, when I walked into some of those offices and having... And this was, I had girlfriends, but I hadn't really jumped back into a social circle. I wasn't doing comedy. I was kind of doing jiu-jitsu. But going into these offices and having everyone know me, hug me, not shame me, women, like hosts of the show, put their hands on my shoulder and be like, I'm sorry what happened to you, sweetie. I'm like, sorry what happened to me, but I'm the bad person. I'm the monster. There is something about when a pile-on happens and then the other side is just kind to you, and sometimes with an agenda, but sometimes just because I know a lot of really nice conservatives. I've had conservatives put me up when I was homeless and we agree on nothing, whereas all of my Brooklyn woke friends didn't call to
Are
see
you
what I was
telling
doing.
me they don't
Seamus
care
here right now,
about the homeless?
Right.
Crazy.
Or are you telling me you need a place to stay? Like you're trying to blackmail me here.
See how this
You're like,
They care about the homeless because they have to move them to gentrify
look.
the black parts
Yeah,
of town to get
I-
more Starbucks and maca cafes or whatever.
True.
Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah.
I was physically threatened numerous occasions. I was physically attacked 3 different times, during marches or at the park. And then I see a bunch of, Trump supporters, people with shields, waving flags. I walk over and they're like, you want to grab a bite and talk?
Ugh.
And it's just like, look, man, I don't have to agree with the conservatives, but if they're willing to sit down and have a burger and say, well, I disagree, let's have a nice day.
Right.
And the other side is like, we brought crowbars.
Right. Well,
You better run.
I'll take it a step further. When I went on, it's called the Real Ass Podcast. Louis J. Gomez, who from Legion of Skanks, his podcast, again, he has been called a Proud Boy. There was a gay comic on, and the gay comic was like, asked him about his use of the F word, the other F word. And Louis was like, look, I've said it forever. I've never said it towards a gay person. It's just the way I came up with comedy. But I tell young comics, don't say it. I wouldn't say it. And most importantly, and I know Louis very well, and I can vouch for this. He's like, if I ever saw a gay person being called that, I would step in and I would do something about it to the guy who's being homophobic. Whereas any one of my old lefty friends, if they saw a gay person getting beat up, they would run away to the nearest Starbucks to maybe tweet about it.
Yeah, they would write a blog post about it for sure.
I was in Portland. Proud Boys were marching. They had
Yeah.
a planned march. Antifa decided to counter march and confront them. The police had to separate the 2 groups. The Proud Boys started marching. Proud Boys group was, the people of different races were there. I think it was mostly white people probably. And we got to this point where all of a sudden Antifa started yelling racial slurs at the black Proud Boy.
Really?
Yeah. And there's videos of Antifa yelling racial slurs at police. There's a black cop and they're yelling just racial slurs at him. So they start yelling a racial slur at this black Proud Boy. And so he breaks from the crowd and starts going across the street.
Yep.
And they're yelling slurs. Like I think they're yelling the N-word. I think they're yelling uncle, I don't even want to say it. I don't want to entertain it. But they were yelling like the N-word and other words, the C word, whatever. He goes across the street. Another Proud Boy runs up to him and grabs him and says, "Don't take the bait, dude. Don't listen to them." And then he grabs him and says, "Don't let him make you hate, man. You're my brother. We're here together, man. We love you. We care about you." And then they put their hands together and it's like, "Let's get to it. Let's stay focused." And they brought him back in. There's a video. There was an ICE protest, and Antifa's outside, and they're just screaming the N-word at these black cops.
Yikes.
Yo, man.
Bad looks.
Yeah,
Occupy Wall Street segregated people based on race. You're in the caucus voting system where they would be like, okay, everyone got a working group or a caucus. Your working group was the work you did. The caucus was your race or gender or identity or whatever. Yeah. They had the black caucus, the Asian caucus, Latino caucus. So you literally were voting on resources based on your racial group.
Well, and I remember even with Ferguson and some of the Black Lives Matter protests, there were also black people stopping a lot of times white BLM marchers from vandalizing or from, and it should show you that if you are on the right and think everyone who has marched for Black Lives Matter is evil, no, there are really good people who would do the exact same thing. If you think that there are Proud Boys who are all violent, no, there are people who will do the right thing. And again, if those voices were the ones that would be highlighted more instead of the fringes, we would actually probably agree on more than we think we would.
Let's we'll do a ridiculous segue and we'll talk about Dr. Peterson.
I have been so excited about this.
Yeah.
So I had to respond to Jordan Peterson. The New York Post reports Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover model critic Jordan Peterson quits Twitter after backlash. Bye for now.
I told Lydia his away message should have just said no fatties.
Right, for sure.
So there's a New York Post posted this morbidly obese woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And Dr. Jordan Peterson said, "Sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of authoritarian tolerance is going to change that." I thought it was really funny. I thought his tweet. And I think him deciding, Jordan, I think he's great. I'm a big fan. I think him deciding to get away from Twitter for a little bit is probably a good idea.
For sure.
Seamus put it well. You said...
just about picking your battles.
Choose your battles, man.
There's something in that.
I kind of feel like when you're swimming in the swamp for too long... Actually, is a better way to put it. Be careful when fighting monsters, lest you become one. Mm-hmm. For when you gaze into the abyss gazes back.
Peterson would know that.
And so when I saw this, I kind of felt like...
Are you calling fat people monsters? Just to be
terrible. Timothy.
Jordan Peterson
You came here to cancel him. Where's the camera, Project Veritas?
No, I kind of feel like... Here's the issue. Let me show you these photographs. Here's Cosmo we've mentioned before.
That's
this
a lie.
is healthy. It's a morbidly obese woman. Here's another morbidly obese woman says this is healthy.
Also wrong.
I think these are awful. I think these are dangerous. I think they're wrong. No. I think you should not encourage people to be unhealthy. Obesity can cause cancer. There was a big row in the UK because there was an ad that was put up that said I think it was like the number one cause or like number two cause of cancer or something. And it was obesity. You had to guess the letter. And people were like, this is fat shaming. So they also had the beach body ad of like beautiful women taken down or replaced with fat women. I'm like, that... I can understand when they're trying to encourage. This is a cover of Sports Illustrated. They put a fat chick on it. My response was, yo, Dr. Peterson, some guys like fat chicks. Yeah. Like, let them have their day.
That was my favorite take, dude.
Well, but also, it's like the fact that the argument went from don't sexually objectify women to like make sure you're more inclusive with your sexual objectification.
Exactly.
It's so strange. But that's literally where the left went. Like, no, the larger women should be objectified as well.
My favorite part.
It's like
larger women.
My favorite part of the day was after you tweeted that, imagining all my old liberal friends being like, "Oh no, do I be mad at Tim Pool or Jordan Peterson?" And having to like pick a side and just heads exploding everywhere.
You know what's funny? It's how it works on Twitter is if they don't see the things I tweet unless someone screen grabs it, and the only reason they'll screen grab it is if they can mock it.
Sure.
So when there are tweets where I'm just like, yo, like let some people like fat chicks, like
so funny.
Let them have their day. You know what I mean? I was just like, I'm not. Look, encouraging it, saying it's healthy. Partly, they're partly encouraging it. They're putting on the cover of magazines, but I'm also just like, I'm not too concerned about them showing a morbidly obese woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated, but I do have questions. And so the one thing I would say is, if Jordan Peterson criticized it appropriately, I would be in total agreement and we'd be talking about it. What he said was authoritarian tolerance, not beautiful. It was like taking a sledgehammer to like a wood nail or something.
And then it was so easy because then everyone just started posting sad pictures of Jordan Peterson. Yeah. And I was saying, I mean, he could have just maybe texted a slightly cuter member of the like intellectual dark web, just shot Sam Harris and be like, hey, can you post this?
Exactly.
Sam's got dreamy eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with you on the health thing. When I taught jujitsu, I've had a lot of people come to me because they were overweight and they were really sad about it and they were embarrassed about it. And I haven't talked about this publicly recently. I wrote about it like a decade ago, but I've struggled with binge eating. I mean, you would call it an eating disorder. If it was a woman, you would say I have an eating disorder. Food issues are hard, man. And the times I've been overweight, I've hated myself, and I still have body dysmorphia, even though I train every day. And but what you're saying about health is so important. Number one, if you just quote unquote, if you actually fat shame people, not what the left say is fat shaming. If you actually fat shame people, that's not going to help them, right? If I see someone down the street, I'm like, hey, fatty or whatever, they're not going to be like, oh, I better get to a jujitsu class. They're going to hate themselves more. And by the way, same with me.
But Seamus would laugh and then high five you, and that would feel really
Why?
bad.
Why are you making this about me?
He would never.
He'd be like, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Seamus is a gentleman.
When have I ever indicated that would be my response to someone heckling a stranger?
The craziest fat shaming story I have, when I had the old progressive podcast, and I told this on a Rogan, I think, but it still horrifies me, is there's a dude who wrote in and he said his doctor said, yeah, same deal, morbidly obese, essentially said he's going to die. And he had kids and was like, I don't know what to do. So I wrote him an email. I sent him a bunch of healthy recipes. I found him a jiu-jitsu place. I actually emailed Tim Spriggs, who ran the jiu-jitsu school. He was like, oh, I remember that guy. 6 months later, 8 months later, whatever it is, he writes into the show and he goes, hey, dude, my doctor just said he's never seen such a quick turnaround before. My kids are so proud of me, and I'm entering my first white belt jiu-jitsu competition.
Cool.
Now, Lydia, you're reacting like a normal human being.
Right.
We got 6 to 10 emails the next day saying by reading that email, we were fat shaming them. And that's when I go, and I was still in my most progressive, most woke. I was like, you would rather this dude die and orphan his kids than temporarily feel bad about yourself and maybe let that inspire you to. I'm not saying if you don't do jujitsu, you're a fatty.
Right.
I'm not saying it's a totalitarian, whatever.
Authoritarian.
Yeah, I
don't
didn't
do
say
jujitsu.
Not beautiful. Yeah,
Seamus,
I-
you're
But that's,
fatty unless
but
you
hold
do
on.
jujitsu.
But can I ask you something? Would it
Yeah.
be helpful if, like, you had a personal trainer who was like, you are going to be an authoritarian fatty, like you need to lose
That'll
the
do it,
weight?
yeah.
Make this app.
Do you-
Make the Jordan Peterson weight loss app.
Yes.
We have. That's another
it. We gotta
sketch.
do it.
We have
That's
to do
another
the
sketch.
I said
Jordan-
clean your room, not your
Oh
plate.
my gosh, I love that. That's so good.
I'm writing it down.
Oh,
Just a bunch of
inspired.
lobsters going shame, 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 shame.
I love it. Can I just say before we move on,
Yep.
this was my red pill. When I was 11 years old,
Yeah.
I looked at the healthy at every size movement. And I was like, these ladies are not healthy. And I want to say there are two things here. One is subjective, that is beauty. You and everyone
Yeah.
else is welcome to think that this lady is beautiful.
She is.
She's
She's
very
yeah.
pretty, 100%. She's solid lady.
She's a chunky queen.
She is a chunky queen. She is thick with 3 C's, and there's no problem with that. I appreciate it. However, the other is the objective, and this is what I was seeing when I was 11. I was like, dude, these ladies are not healthy. This is not good. This lady is not athletic. I'm not sure why she's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Sure. I don't think she plays a sport other than, I don't know.
Hot dog eating
dog eating
contest.
contest. Yes, thank you, Timothy.
I tried to
could
do
key
it
that up for
straight
you.
face.
The eye contact you two made
Okay,
before
ready?
that
Let's
line
go.
came out
Let's
was
get ready.
beautiful.
I was like, I know what sport she
couldn't do
plays.
it, though.
But anyway, it's like, she's not healthy, and I know this isn't going to be good for her down the line. Now, Tess Holiday really troubles me because she's literally like, Tim is just cracking
I'm
up
just
over
imagining
here. Can't
Sports
help
Illustrated
it.
doing like the 12th annual hot dog
Covering
eating
it.
contest.
Yes. I see it. No, don't predict the future. Stop this. Stop this. Not okay. Tess Holiday is like 400 pounds. She's like, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so healthy. I'm like, B word. No, you're not. You absolutely aren't. This
Like,
is
I
so
don't want
unhealthy.
anyone to hate themselves,
Exactly.
right? Like, I don't. It's sad. It's sad to think of someone hating themselves because they're fat, and there are a lot of people, I'm sure, even listening to this show, who spiral about that. But it's worse to hate yourself so much that you end up in denial, and it's the same as when you tell your friends, hey, I'm gonna quit drinking because you have a drinking problem, and your other friends are drinking problems. You're like, well, is your problem that you're a little bitch? And they're trying to get
Right.
you to keep drinking.
Right.
And it's like, bro, if I'm an alcoholic and you are pushing me to do it so you can feel better about, drinking on the weekends because you don't want to see your wife and little spite kids, then it's like, that's on
Jeez,
you.
yeah.
Like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
I'm legit thinking that the
Tim
future of
can't
Sports
handle it.
Illustrated is going to be a whole bunch of really
Pie
messed up
eating.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because like
Angrily tweeting.
Oh my
well,
goodness.
no, because have you ever seen what's that morbidly obese women's clothing store?
Oh, Torrid.
Torrid.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Like they have mannequins that are morbidly obese.
Oh, interesting.
And
Do
I'm
they just tie 5 other mannequins together?
Pretty much. I don't know.
I don't know if we can get in trouble on YouTube for saying this.
Anyway.
No, but I'm like,
Mannequin shaming?
there's a conspiracy theory. You know the Dove Real Beauty campaign?
Yeah.
Do you know who owns Dove? What's the parent company of Dove?
No.
It's Unilever.
Oh no.
Unilever owns another brand,
Oh no.
Ben & Jerry's.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah.
there was a conspiracy theory that they were, at a higher level, we're looking at like, we want women to eat more ice cream.
I was wondering why the woman in the shower using Dove was eating Cherry Garcia.
Explains
So
it, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's like a meme about it. But I mean, it makes sense. If you run a business and you're like, we want to sell soap to women and we also want to sell ice cream, but all these super thin models are making people not want to buy ice cream, put the fat women in the soap commercial and the women will be like, that's like me, and they'll eat ice cream. And then Sports Illustrated will have ice cream eating contests in their magazine.
Yes.
What I mean is, if the average woman is obese, then Sports Illustrated is going to start putting more and more obese women on the cover.
So with the body positivity thing, I want to sort of piggyback on something Lydia said. I don't agree with the idea that beauty is subjective. I do believe it's subjective. There are some elements of our like experience of it which is subjective.
Stop
but
hitting on me.
I know. Well, but my problem is that what the body positivity movement could have been effective at is saying something like, look, not everyone is physically beautiful in the same way, but just because someone isn't beautiful doesn't give you the right to treat them poorly, because a person's value is not limited to their physical appearance, and someone shouldn't be treated poorly because they don't look good. Yes. And so instead they decided to say, actually, everyone looks good. And what did that do? That solidified this idea that actually appearance is what gives you your value. Because if we tell you you don't look good, then we are telling you you're worthless, because that's what we believe. So we just have to, instead of challenging our understanding of what beauty means, we have to say, no, everyone's beautiful. That way we can say everyone means something, instead of acknowledging that beauty is not the only metric of a person's value.
A quick fact check. We have here the Dove Real Beauty campaign, which was average to obese women, and I think they even had some amputees.
Yeah.
Ben & Jerry's, parent, Unilever. Dove, owner, Unilever.
No.
Conspiracy confirmed.
Oh boy, it's happening. Well, what I was going to say, I love what you just said.
That's great,
and
yeah.
also the times, even when I've been struggling, whether it's with depression, suicidal ideation, binge eating, whatever it is, the times where someone actually made me feel good about myself is when I would lock in and want to double down on
Yes.
it. The times where I would just go, you know what, I'm a fat piece of garbage. Well, then what does a fat piece of garbage do? He
He's
certainly
like
doesn't
garbage.
train the next day.
right.
Yeah.
He feels bad. He's got to fill the sad hole in his heart, so he starts eating more food. Or you just go, well, this is what everyone thinks I am anyway, right? So Sports Illustrated, you actually have this opportunity to do something like what you said, but then also write an article about, hey, you don't think you're an athlete? Have you tried these kind of sports? Have you tried skateboarding?
Yeah.
Have you tried jiu-jitsu? Have you tried something?
Yoga?
I failed
Yeah.
gym class. Literally failed gym
You
class
do
in high
that.
school. I'll tell you how. You get stoned every day and pretend you don't have your shorts.
That works, yeah.
Yep. And then I found jiu-jitsu at 17, and I was like, I always wanted to learn how to fight because I grew up watching cheesy martial arts movies, and I fell in love with jiu-jitsu and accidentally became an athlete because I found something I loved. You can help people. You said you felt so much better. So did you like give up sugar?
Cut out bread and sugar.
Yeah, and like I want to ask you advice about that after the show, but it's because I'm feeling good about myself.
A heaping spoonful of almond flour, a heaping spoonful of walnut flour, 1 egg.
Yeah.
Mix it up, microwave for 1 minute. Boom, you got a keto biscuit.
Ooh.
Then I cut it and I put cheese, egg, and bacon on it, and that's breakfast.
Oh my God, that actually sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I think the issue is when you're younger, you need a bit more food, especially if you're athletic.
Yeah.
For me, one of the issues was I used to eat like 8,000 calories per day because
Yeah.
I would skate for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so it was just a machine. When I got older and started skating less and doing, news and stuff more, I still had the habits of eating big meals. And then, I gained weight from it.
Right.
So now I'm like, I still skate a lot, but it's remarkable that in the past, it's remarkable how little I eat relative to what I was eating last year.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you probably feel great. That's the thing. When I'm eating unhealthy, sure, I could say, I love my beer gut. I love my whatever, but I don't feel well, and I get depressed, and I sleep
Seamus drinking
later,
beer.
which
Yeah.
means I don't go to the gym. And the times where I'm training and the times where I'm eating healthy, I feel good, and you want people to feel good.
Exactly.
And again, you don't have to say not beautiful, but man, you can also encourage people to be healthy because you want them to feel good. You don't want them to be depressed. The times I'm eating like crap, the times I'm overweight, it absolutely ties into my depression. It's horrible.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and no one really openly says this, right? They'll just apply this principle to different categories all the time and hope you don't notice. But there's this weird pervasive idea that like everyone is equal in every single way. So no one's smarter than anyone else. No one's more beautiful than anyone else. No one's stronger than anyone else. And it's just not true. It's just not true. Now, again, what we should be promoting, and this is certainly what I believe, is that, you know, humans are made in the image and likeness of God. Every single person has unfathomable value. But instead, because we have limited people's value to what they bring to us instead of what they are solely, without seeing them as full persons, in order to compensate for that, we have to say, okay, well, yeah, people really are just their physical makeup, and they don't have any intrinsic value besides these specific things we decide to assign value to, but they're all equal in those categories, so it's fine.
I'm not caught up in the news. Who's this god fella?
Well,
So-
we have a
Sorry,
good
that,
conversation.
that was my old godless lefty days.
So for those in the chat that are getting triggered by my eating 8,000 calories comment, I'm clear. I was
A
exaggerating.
little hyperbolic.
Yeah, I was saying like I'm eating an exorbitant amount. I
Like,
didn't
how
mean
are you
literally,
not dead?
Like, eating 8 pizzas.
Well-
But no, but I will tell you, it's like not every day, but days before and sometimes after, it would be excess of 3,000 calories, and like, yo, guys.
Oh, if I train twice a day, I'm murdering food all
So
day.
breakfast with like meat, potatoes, eggs, toast. You're looking at like 800 with a glass of orange juice or 1,000. Then you've got lunch, which was a couple sandwiches, and looking at another 600-700. For dinner, you get Panda Express double orange chicken with a big thing of rice.
Yep.
It's like 3,000 to 5,000 depending on what you're eating. Some days we get Panda Express 3 times.
Yeah, I also
But what seriously, skating for 8 hours a day, drenched in sweat, like I'm not kidding, man.
No, a lot of my pro athlete friends can eat garbage. Like there's a jiu-jitsu fighter who is famous for trying to get a Panda Express sponsorship. And there's
So
another
good.
one who only eats In-N-Out and Five Guys and stuff. And they look great and ripped and shredded, but I'm sure the inside of their body is dying. Which, by the way, you could put that dude on the cover of Sports Illustrated and he'd look great. There's like the whole skinny fat thing. But again, he will be dead at 40.
Yeah, and that's why it was a red pill for me. I was like, they clearly don't care about women because it looks to me like they actually want them to die young. You can't tell me that you want these women to see their grandchildren. It looks like you don't even want them to live past 40.
I gotta say, I think it was Bill Maher who said this, but you don't see fat 90-year-olds, and it's not to be mean, but it's true.
I never
It's
thought
very
about- I never
sad.
thought about that.
It's
Yeah.
very sad, but it's true. You don't. It's like, well, if you care about people and you want to help them live longer lives,
Exactly.
you should try to encourage them, and like you pointed out, in a healthy way. Don't be a jerk
Don't
about it.
shame them.
But
I
yeah,
don't
but
think
you
I've
should
ever
still
made-
try to encourage them to get healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, one of my friends just hit me up today about starting jiu-jitsu, and he's a big dude. And I wasn't just like, oh, thank God, fatty. What, is your wife not doing you anymore?
geez, yeah.
I just literally, without saying it, I left him a voice
Awesome,
memo
yeah,
on
let's
Instagram and
go.
was like, hey, you're coming in with me. I'll take you into class. I'll make sure you don't have to pay. Let me make you feel comfortable, blah, blah, blah. And I told him I wasn't athletic, and jiu-jitsu is what made all the stuff I said to you guys. And it's like, I'm so hyped to help this dude. And, a lot of people who are overweight, they just kind of silently suffer and they hate themselves and they
Right.
feel, and again,
It's hard.
I've been there on a million different levels. And I don't think this stuff is helping them. Again, I think the Sports Illustrated thing is harmless, but I think all that stuff that said like healthy is just like
Exactly.
liable. Yeah.
Right.
I think
yeah.
there's some harm in the Sports Illustrated thing. I just think, Dr. Peterson went a little too far. Like,
Yeah, I don't understand that.
pull back a little bit. Like I would put LOL and be like, no, thank you or something.
Yeah.
You know,
LOL, no thank you.
Even
from
that
Jordan.
though would be like kind of a wild tweet to see from Jordan Peterson.
That would've been
It was like,
LOL, no thank
you.
you. That would have been incredible, dude.
Yo,
that would have been
yeah.
incredible.
Jordan, he tweeted that he's like had his staff change his password. He's getting away from temptation, getting off Twitter because it's toxic, and the barrage of insults. And I'm confused by that. I get it. For some people, having just millions of people tweeting hateful things at you some people can't handle that.
He's very sensitive.
Tim loves it. He's like,
Are you kidding? Like, when I'm trending right now. I've been trending for like
ride
4
the
days straight.
wave.
And you know what I do? I posted the Elmo fire emoji, like, say my name.
This is what I need to learn from you. I almost asked you this when we were hanging out earlier,
skill,
but I
right?
wanted to save it for the show. Yeah, because so I had John Cleese on my podcast and like a month or two ago, and if you guys from Monty Python, blah blah blah, and he's been canceled a bunch this year. And he told me he doesn't know why. And he's like, I don't look. Someone says, hey, you're trending on Twitter. And he goes, all right, I don't care. And then he goes and he lives with his, Monty Python money and lives a happy life, right? What I think one of my problems was that I couldn't take it mentally. Like I was suicidal. I did disappear and stuff like that. And so now that I'm sort of just diving into comedy, and in comedy, you don't really care as much and you can make things jokes, and that's all that matters. Because my problem too was I was just niche famous enough to get canceled, but like not famous enough to have a savings account or like a pool. And so I see like John Cleese and I go, well, yeah, you don't have to look at Twitter, but I got to get booked at the Chuckle Hut in Kansas City and have a creepy anonymous Twitter account like DMing their GM. And so, but I also think that part of the reason you blew up was that not caring, and by you not caring, you were establishing your loyal fans, which I didn't do. I just like peaced out because I thought I was gonna die.
I come from the internet era of you like trolling to like you go on forums and you post things to get attention.
Right.
So when
those
I see
were the
like,
people that all called me cucks.
I'll see like Vosh trends a whole lot as well.
Really?
Yeah. And so like I'll see he'll be tweeting like 1,400. I'll be like, those are rookie numbers. You gotta get those numbers up, Vosh. But he had a funny tweet too. He said, I forgot what he said, but he said, I'm going to paraphrase, but something like, I have stared into the eyes of the beast and nothing scares me more than this monster. And it was a screen grab of Vosh trending. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Look, criticize
really
the guy and all that
funny.
stuff. I thought that was a funny tweet.
That's very funny.
But when I see like Tim Pool trending and I'm like, why is it so low? Like,
come on, man.
It's like it was like 3,900 just a little bit ago.
So
It's
what
like,
about when
if you hate me, get those numbers up, baby.
Well, what about when you were like coming up dealing with the hate, or when you didn't have as strong a network?
I mean, the truth is, I literally just never cared.
Houston.
So like when we started,
I care so much, guys.
But look, when we started doing this show, we were getting like I don't know, shy of 1,000 concurrents or something.
Yeah.
I don't care. I wanted to do the show because I was bored. It's
Right.
like I want to do it.
Right.
And then people say nasty things about you and they criticize you and you're just like, oh. I guess, man. I grew up on the internet. People say nasty things all the time.
You also always had, because I realize one of the reasons that I'm so confident right now is because of I have a solid community for the first time in my life. In Texas, in jiu-jitsu, in comedy, where I have my favorite comics are my friends. Even just doing this with you guys, I'm like, okay, cool. I have like new friends now. My jiu-jitsu community, if people say untrue things about me in jiu-jitsu, unlike my old friends who were like, well, I can't tweet about Jamie. I don't want to lose my free internship at the Nation. It's like these jiu-jitsu guys, they don't care at all. Right. They're like, yo, we will go to war for you. Do you need us to go to war for you? Yep. Do you need my lawyer? I will give you my lawyer. Like literally doing things like that.
Real community.
That's what I was going to say is I wonder if even when you didn't have huge fans, you had your crew.
Nope.
And whereas I didn't have anybody.
No, I have no crew. I mean, like I show up at Occupy by myself, and for the most part, half the people got beef with me, half don't, and I'm just like, I'm doing my thing.
And you just didn't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I never cared. I mean, I care about freedom, personal responsibility. I care about truth. I care about.
Okay, so what about when people say stuff that isn't true? Because that'll happen to me sometimes, where I'll post something and someone just writes, you were accused of sexual assault. And I want to just go, no, I wasn't. Because I wasn't. But I also don't want to address it. And that horrifies me.
I agree. I mean, it's annoying. But then there's also like someone with 100 followers will say something that's not true. And I'm like, okay, I could respond to them and try and convince one person. Or I can do my show and convince a million.
Right.
So I'm just going to keep doing my thing.
Just getting bigger.
We got to go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Head over to timcast.com. We're going to have a members-only segment, probably talking about the apocalypse and $10 gas. So, again, timcast.com. That'll be up around 11. Let's read. All right, let's see. Woot do for you said, fact check. The Twitter engineer said he worked 4 hours last quarter, not per week.
Holy moly.
Oh,
whoa.
Is that,
so it's even worse.
that's horrible.
Good
all
for
right.
him.
We were doing that dude a solid.
Right. I would
Yeah,
work 4
seriously.
hours.
We were trying to
quarter.
cover for him.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours a week. It's a lot.
Let's see. Shame Train. Tim and crew, how long do you predict until the U.S. completely fractures and things get truly violent? Keep being you. Some people were chatting that Vosh was saying the leftists need to get armed or something, but I don't know if that's true because I didn't see it. I just saw it in the chat.
Also, none of us know how to shoot guns, so it's fine. We're all just going to accidentally, like, friendly fire each other.
Oh my god.
You?
I actually started training with Tim Kennedy and those and the Sheepdog guys in Austin. That's what switched my gun views.
So jealous.
But who was we in that one?
Oh, me. Oh, him? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what.
No, you're like,
he is.
we don't know how to shoot guns.
Oh, I just meant like the. Oh, I guess.
He's a radical far-left Antifa super soldier.
I still call myself liberal, I guess.
Yeah.
I got really great basic pointers, and we've been to the range quite a bit, and we have property where we can shoot. We got tons of guns now.
You got to train.
Far from an expert or anybody deeply involved in any kind of gun culture, but have been to the range and pretty good.
Yeah.
With I will say I find long guns to be relatively easy with simple training practice.
I've only shot a pistol, but
handguns I'm not that good.
Yeah, it's you have to train though. That was the first reason I wanted to train, and I hit up Tim. Is one, I wanted to be, hey, I was a really anti-gun guy, and I think it would be cool to learn from you, and also talk to those guys about what they think reasonable gun control is, or what you should do for mass shootings or whatever. And I had some of the most open-minded conversations I've ever had, which have definitely switched my views on guns. But I remember Tim came to me after the seminar, and he was like, hey, I want to get more women, people of color, LGBT people here to train, to learn how to defend themselves. I don't want it just to be like white militia Tim Kennedy fanboys. And I was literally like, you are doing more for people than any of my old liberal friends.
I posted a picture of a gun on a trans flag, and then I said,
you can't tell me that with a straight face.
I said trans gun rights are human rights.
I love it.
And I said, I think black trans women should have 50 BMGs mounted on their rooftops if they so desire.
Yes.
And they should be able to carry AR-15s to protect themselves from white supremacist bigots who would do them harm.
That's right.
And the trans people filed takedowns against me and got it removed from Twitter.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Or I should say the left did. I don't know exactly who did it.
Boring.
Sure.
But it wasn't my photo. That's why. So they filed a claim against me, and then Twitter deleted it. And I was like, they don't want me agreeing with them. Okay. They were like, they kept saying it was a joke. And then I was like, what's a joke about me? So there was someone who was like,
just because it's hilariously worded does not mean it's a joke.
I thought it was legitimately worded.
I still think it's very funny.
You know, so somebody commented like, you talk big game about guns, but the moment black people get guns, where are you then? And then I said, I think the Black Panthers should be armed to the effing teeth.
Yeah.
Dude, also they just make things up. They create imaginary scenarios in their head. And they're like, what would you say then?
Killer
it's
Mike
like
was
the thing that's consistent with my principles because I don't just hate whatever group you've assumed I've hated to smear me.
Right, yeah.
Killer
Killer Mike from Run the Jewels was the first person that made me think about my stance on guns.
Yeah, he's great.
All right, let's read some more. We got Boof. Good name. He says, can't wait for the Republicans to regain control so they can continue to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Well, go and vote in your primaries and make sure the people who are winning are people who will do things. I saw Rand Paul won his primary.
Yes. Of course he did.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Mary Diaz says, I promised I wouldn't sign up for another subscription, but Seamus is amazing, so I've got to. Also, Tim, do you need someone for HR? I'm working on my certifications, but I am young and a hard worker. Love the show. We may be getting to that point because we're relatively small, but we're growing.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
HR would not let you say we're small and growing, by the way. That's inappropriate.
That's a little not allowed.
That was a penis joke.
We're actually we're a show. We're not a grower.
There we go.
right.
There
It
you
looks
go.
like we're a
Attaboy.
big company.
We're not. Good stuff. Great work, everyone.
By the way,
you.
thank
Thanks
you
for
so much for the compliment,
it's
Mary.
awesome.
This is
Yeah.
very kind.
That was very sweet.
Ian Kinney said, Tim, all your button-ups dirty. Did you see John Rich's retweet that Elon replied to? He did. I
cool,
didn't see
yeah.
that one. Which one was that? I don't know. No, I just wore a teal shirt today.
Tim, we were both getting lit up about our shirts in the chat.
Oh, really?
People are like,
I
look,
was-
he's a shit. Like Seamus blends in. I got my camouflage today, man. I was hoping I could hide.
So I was skating and I fell and I whacked my arm really bad, and so then I just sat down. I was like, I'm exhausted. And then normally I'll go and I'll get ready for the show. This time I'm just like greasy, sweaty, and stinky, and just like I just didn't care. So whatever.
You're like, the guest is a canceled comedian.
That's
We're
right.
fine.
Yeah, like I offend this guy.
yeah. It's not James O'Keefe.
I'd be wearing a suit.
No, honestly, it might be James O'Keefe. Like,
Yeah, I know.
where's the camera?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sounds like James.
No. That sounds like
Saying.
something James would say, is that I'm not James O'Keefe.
All right, let's grab some more super chats. People mentioning the new Veritas posts. Paul Jones says, MB was super cringe. Guy is banality of evil incarnate. Couldn't hold a consistent position. Intellectually bankrupt. It was indeed like speaking to a brick wall. You and Seamus did good. I thought Matt was a cool guy. He was a nice guy. We hung out before and after the show. When it got into politics, I felt confused because I didn't understand what his principles were. I understood his platitudes, like when he said conservatives think trans people don't exist. But when I asked him, what does that mean? Like, what idea are you trying to convey? He couldn't say anything. It's just like it just didn't mean anything. I still have no idea what they mean when they say conservatives think trans people don't exist. Like Ben Shapiro walks into Blair White and then he goes, "Where did she go?"
We're friends with Blair.
She's gone. Yeah, I just don't understand what they're trying to say. Yeah. And they don't clarify either.
I would like to say I think trans people exist.
I think they do too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been misled.
Yeah. What is are they trying to say something like you don't respect
you don't
them?
believe? Yeah, I don't know.
Then say that.
Right, exactly.
It's not true.
But when I say what idea are you trying to convey, and they say, I'm like, well, if you can't explain it. Yeah. All right. Bobcat says, if she's a 10 and you're a 2, she's James O'Keefe.
That is what everybody on Twitter needs to walk around with. That's what the tweeb memo should be.
Tweep, yeah.
Tweep, yeah.
It should have said, guys, you're not that attractive.
Yeah.
She's
Don't
not that
go
into
out
you.
with
She's James
them.
O'Keefe.
They're like, we specifically hire people who don't look good enough to believe they could be getting a date with someone that attractive.
You're
It's
not
part of our
hot.
policy.
Stop spilling company intel.
But I really just love that they emailed the guy and he's showing it off.
That was
Incredible.
It was
Yeah.
meta.
We have to
That was
follow
a cartoon.
story.
That was
a
actually a cartoon. He's like the Veritas person's like, what's this Project Veritas?
You know what? You know what'd be
Incredible.
funny? If then the Veritas guy, the guy who's filming, he says, "Aha, I am Veritas," but then the guy he's filming goes, "I was James O'Keefe the whole time,"
Yep,
and
yep,
they're
yep.
both Veritas,
Yeah.
singing
Yeah.
each other.
Wait a second. Why did we do this? I don't know, man.
Want a drink? Yeah.
Everyone is James O'Keefe.
But then Veritas puts together like a hit piece on Veritas, to like Project Veritas.
From the
called a
inside,
Project Veritas
yeah.
agent doing
you know what
this.
would be another funny skit is a person working at Twitter who is paranoid and thinks everyone is James O'Keefe. And so he
That's
grabs
funny.
he grabs an old woman and is like pulling on her hair, like, take the wig
I know
off.
that's you, O'Keefe.
Yeah. So let's ad lib all of these.
Dude, we should do a bunch of these for sure.
Yep.
It'd be fun.
Or
yeah.
one 20-minute long one. All right. Sam Whiter says, I sent this chat yesterday, but gladly send it again since yesterday's show was amazing. When I was watching your segment about Disney, I thought about the South Park episode about the pedo group Nambla. Yeah. The North American
Man.
Marlon Brando look alike.
National
Yeah.
Association of Marlon Brando lookalikes.
Yeah.
Make 1984 Fiction again says, since you didn't get this yesterday, I'll try again. There is no such thing as a viability argument. There is no such thing as a baby viable in or out of the womb until 3 years old. That's generous. But I understand that point. But the idea being conveyed is there's a point at which the baby doesn't need to rely on the blood of the mother. Like it can be sustained through technology. That's why I asked that question. I can't remember who I asked, but like, if a baby from day one, moment of conception, could be taken out and placed in an artificial womb, should that be required for any abortion? Like, if you don't have to kill it, why kill it? You know what I mean? I think the issue is.
Oh yeah.
I think the issue is that a lot of abortions are due to financial issues, and so it's like the intentional killing of the baby because they're like, well, I can't afford it. So when I brought that up to Matt the other day, I said, well, what about a man who also can't afford it? Can he choose to sever responsibility? He said no. Then I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how you have the argument that a woman who can't afford the baby can abort it, but the man who can't afford the baby has no choice and has to go to jail for being a deadbeat. You got to be consistent, man. I'm trying to figure out what your positions are for these guys. Mini Strange Quark says, Seamus, please make a tune of James O'Keefe in drag on a sting. That would be hilarious. All of you at the Castle Rock, Chicken City forever.
Well, I'm sure you have been pleasantly surprised by all the O'Keefe skits we've been coming up with here. So we maybe
make- I
do
wrote them
something
down.
along
If
those
you
lines.
do it,
Yeah, I wrote some of them
it
down, too.
has to be a musical parody.
Oh,
it has to be
yeah.
to like a Hamilton or Oklahoma,
Oklahoma.
for James O'Keefe. Like give it it has to be that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like the wedding one.
The wedding one, I just want someone to go
Yeah.
through their whole life, and at the
That
very
is
end of their
so
life,
funny.
their spouse was doing a hit. No, the child they had with their spouse was doing an O'Keefe hit piece. The whole thing was set up.
Yeah.
All right.
You're like, dude, James O'Keefe puts a liberal like in the Truman Show. He like raises a liberal from birth in the Truman Show and watches everything they do and just live streams it. He's like, this is who they are. This is how they think.
This proves it.
This proves how liberals are.
He's proving the point that a liberal from birth would retain. So he's like, we've kidnapped the child of a liberal family. Now we're raising it in an isolated space to see what behaviors it has to prove whether or not liberals are inherently, liberal. All right, Iggy the Incubus says, "Hey, yo, Tim, as many times as your streams have gone down, all of a sudden, are you sure it's not actual malice from the overlords at YouTube at this point?" Oh, I think it is. I mean, we did a segment where he who shall not be named was named, and then the stream goes down halfway through.
Yeah, sus.
Yeah, there was a stream that went down, but Chicken City, which is streaming through the same network, was live.
Really
So we had Chicken City
weird.
outside. They're streaming from the same network. How does that happen? Huh? Okay, we'll grab some more. Morgan H says, James O'Keefe. Oh, James O'Keefe.
Oh, yeah.
James
Of course, yeah. I know
O'Keefe.
that guy.
Very nice. Fire Sky says, very nice shirt, Tim. Also, please do that skit.
All the skits.
Yeah.
Every single
I
one.
mean, I would love to actually have James come down to be in a skit.
It has to.
That would be so good. It'd be hilarious.
Let me message his people.
Do it.
See what I can do.
Take the wig off and it's James. or it could just be James in the suit, in a full suit, but also wearing a really awful wig. And the guys are like, "What's up, girl? You're looking
Hey, you want to hear about my Twitter hijinks?
good." Yeah. You want to hear about some corporate malfeasance, girl? I know I've only just met you, but let me give you this ledger of every illegal thing I've done.
I wouldn't do this if we didn't meet organically.
That's right.
All right, seriously, JK says, Seamus, the undercover dude knew his audience perfectly, that being the tweet. He played directly to him because he knew he could while mocking him at the same time. It was actually brilliant improv, in my opinion. I don't think that guy knew it was Veritas.
I don't know. That's hard
Dude,
to
the
tell.
whole exchange
Veritas.
is so bizarre because it's like,
Veritas, yeah.
it's so hysterical. It
He
seems
seemed a little dry.
contrived.
He seemed tipsy.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, I don't know.
Neo Reaper says, instead of punked, you get O'Keefed. Seamus, get on it.
Oh my gosh. It's like, actually, you weren't on a date. You confessed to criminal activity. And they're like, you got him. Dude. Also,
Dude, there's
I'm
so many
serious,
good
like,
ones. Write them down.
with this guy, like, I'm still stuck on, what is this project? Veritas. Like, that's
I love
something,
it so
that's
much.
something someone in a fake mustache says.
Burrito, yeah.
Funny.
Fake I know.
Well, that
What-
was the gay one. He could have had a fake mustache.
Yeah.
They all do. Even like the beautiful women are wearing fake
Just fake.
mustaches. They're like,
With
I don't
the
know.
glasses with the big nose. Wait a second.
No, like the glasses with just like a giant camera protruding from the front of them.
Aldo says O'Keefe sends 100s. The entire bar was O'Keefe. Oh, he sends hundreds. The entire bar was O'Keefe.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, they'd be
They're
yeah,
all
he
cardboard
fills the-
cutouts and they fall over.
Like I said,
Dude,
the
they
whole
could be
bar is
that.
cardboard.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Dude, he
falls
could
over.
literally put a cardboard cutout on a remote control car that had a camera attached to it, and these people would spill their secrets to it if
All
it
right,
followed them around long
I'll
enough.
tell you. Yeah.
So hold
You
on.
got me.
So the guy who gets stung by Veritas on his, he's dating a girl, and then he pulls the wig off. It's O'Keefe, and he's like, it's too late. You've said everything. He becomes paranoid. So then he goes to work, and then someone at the office is talking to him, and he's like, I admitted to everything. And then all of a sudden he's like, wait a minute. And then he pulls the wig off, and it's James again.
Yeah.
Starts freaking out. So then he goes to therapy, and he's
no.
sitting on the bed, and the therapist is like, tell me what it's like at your
Seamus,
job.
write this
And he's
down.
like, well, what's been happening is, wait a minute. No, it can't be. And then he pulls the wig off, and the therapist is James O'Keefe.
Yeah.
No, but the solution or the resolution is the entire world is turned against him. But fortunately, they're all James O'Keefe, so he's like, well, this guy didn't like me anyway.
Yeah. All right, we'll grab some more. A lot of people pointing out the other Veritas video. Charles Fritz says, date videos allow the whistleblower to feign outrage and keep their jobs. Get Christian Westbrook from Ice Age Farmer on the show, please. That sounds cool. Charles Bloomer says, this is for Shim cartoon skit. For you, sir, a commercial for Justin Trudeau charcoal facial mask.
It's hilarious.
That's a good one.
Oh my goodness.
And then it ends with being like, and coming soon, the Ralph Northam,
Oh my gosh.
Dark.
Northam bed sheets or
Little blankets.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What are they called? Die cut bed sheets.
Ooh, yikes.
Pims the Great says, sent this yesterday before YouTube deleted everything. Just closed on 9.5 acres for my homestead Monday, but wanted to ask your opinion on BlackRock owning 75% of Ancestry.com. Scary that they now have access to people's DNA. Yes, they do.
Is Ancestry DNA?
I'm pretty sure Ancestry
Because
is
I had
DNA.
Ancestry for a while, and it's just like.
But
who's
you
your
like-
But
family?
you still have Ancestry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
technically.
23andMe is the
Yeah.
you send your blood or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
never
right.
did that.
I
I was
did
like,
not
I
do
just,
that.
oh my
They
goodness. you gave-
they send you a small knife in a package,
Well, no,
and
you
you slice your
swab.
palm and then
You
squeeze.
Yeah.
They don't do
and
that.
then a
And
guy
you say,
there
"For
does
the
blood
ancestors."
brothers with
Yeah.
you and does rituals with your
Yes.
blood.
True,
It's
yeah.
terrible.
You actually just like swab your cheek or something.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was funny that in movies they'll take when it's like the ritual calls for blood, and they're like, let me slice my entire palm open
would
instead
you
of
do
like
that?
poking my arm.
Prick your finger. Jeez,
Yeah, it's like how much blood did you
They're
need?
just trying to show that they're
Let me
hardcore. Tim.
slice and then their hand is like fine, or they'll just wrap it, and it's
Yeah.
like, bro, you're not gonna be able to like, it's gonna hurt.
They're like,
a
we
lot.
need blood. Let me cut my arm off. All right.
Hey, take it easy, bro.
Let me slit this way.
Let me deglove my
Artery,
hand. You're
yeah.
like, what?
PRCE5 says, I'm picturing James O'Keefe as Willem Dafoe in Boondock Saints at the end. Yeah, that was a
Pretty
good
great
one.
reference.
Yo, James, we've got so many funny skits.
They
that we're
say,
gonna make.
when are you thinking?
As soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, as soon as humanly possible. We could easily do this. All we need is a wig.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be really funny. All right.
It's a beautiful lady.
We'll figure. We don't have a
I mean, we
skit
could also.
channel.
We
or anything,
could,
but
I mean,
we'll-
look, if
we'll
we
put
did it
on
with
the
O'Keefe,
vlog.
we could also. We could also literally. I could do a cartoon of it. And we could just like, if he's interested, send his voice and just,
That'd
like,
be great too.
draft it
Yeah,
up.
But there's like so many.
I know.
Well, we're gonna do 50 of them then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
No, but I would love to do a physical bit.
That would also be hilarious.
Just with him, yeah.
Yeah, it would be hilarious. We can also do some of them for
Yeah,
the
no,
Especially-
your idea is fine too, Seamus.
No,
yeah.
for the people who didn't listen to this episode, if I was watching a sketch and it's a James O'Keefe sketch, and then the reveal is it's actually James O'Keefe, like I would pop huge for that.
It's like a 5'3" like skinny blonde chick.
Right.
She's like, tell me more about your job. Wow. Have you ever done anything bad?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah, here's what
bad
I
boy.
did. And then, wait a minute. 6
Slowly,
foot tall.
yeah.
James.
It's like, oh, yeah, it's
slowly rising.
Yep.
You've ever done anything bad? Yeah, here's the documents for it. Can you Xerox that for me?
I do have a portable scanner right here. It's like sliding the
At my
papers in.
copy machine.
I knew bringing this scanner on all these dates would finally
I
pay
know.
off.
All right. Derek says your possible skit is a remake of You Got Mail. I don't know what that one is.
Is that a Tom Hanks?
Also,
one?
which possible skit? Because we got like 50 of these.
I know, so good. And the Jordan Peterson weight loss program,
Oh, that's right. That has to be done as well. I think you
Yeah.
could play Peterson.
where he just
I do little cartoons.
he
of
tells
episodes,
everyone
like,
to only eat meat.
Right.
Perfect.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Embody the archetypal hero. Stop eating.
Stop eating
Stop with
lobsters.
all the food.
His weight loss app is called The Hero's Journey.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I would download
That's
that.
actually a good name.
That's a
idea.
good
Yeah.
name for one.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe
Write it down.
You
it'd be
walk.
funny if like
Yeah.
in a week Jordan's got a new book called The Hero's Journey and it's like a weight loss plan.
I love it.
And then you're like, I came up with that, and he's like, prove it.
Yeah. Dang
You're
it.
not beautiful. Ah, come on, Peterson. Stop shaming me.
Come on, man.
All right. Xbox Hog says almost died today by turning off the main breaker of my soaking wet circuit breaker box. Did
Don't
not get
do
electrocuted,
that.
but I was really dumb.
Don't do that.
Yikes. Summer Andre says Abby Johnson is a great person for perspective. She used to
know.
run a Planned Parenthood until she had to assist in one and watched the baby fight against the tools.
I know.
Stu Peters has a great interview with her. Wow.
I want to get her on.
Crazy. Blades Will Bleed says every miscarriage will be treated as a possible homicide. Is the fear being expressed by saying making miscarriage illegal?
Maybe that's
Not
what I was-
expressly
that's what I was
illegal,
thinking,
but
yeah.
effectively if they're all treated as a crime.
That's not how it was in any state where abortion was illegal prior to Roe v. Wade. It's not as if women had miscarriages and then the police showed up to their house to investigate. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I also suppose it depends on the...
So you would be against that if someone did.
Well, you
try
can't like
that.
investigate people for miscarriages.
Right.
No, yeah.
Well, you could. What if a woman's 8 months pregnant and the baby, she hasn't?
So if you have something, if there's like a dumpster baby, like a dead
Yeah.
child found in a dumpster or something like that, then yeah, you'd have to investigate because that's insane. But
Yeah.
But actually, maybe I don't know if can you have a miscarriage at eight months?
I think it's much less likely than earlier in the
I think it would be called
pregnancy.
something different at that point.
I think it's still a miscarriage at
Is
that
it?
point.
I think it
I
is.
gotta look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So the issue at play with the argument is typically the left is arguing like if the baby's dead, then you need to abort.
That's
Like
not abortion.
it's the removal of the
delivery.
well, the CDC says the termination of a pregnancy with a not live birth.
Yeah. So
If that's the idea they're trying to convey, I'm trying to steelman their approach. My
Right.
response is then put that in the law.
Right.
Then make it clarify that the life of the baby must be preserved at all costs.
yeah.
Also, they just
But
make
the issue
things up.
is, right.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
issue is, despite Matt the other day arguing repeatedly that it's for the health of the mother, he also said when pressed, well, the woman can get an abortion electively. It's her choice.
Also, no, there is no single piece of proposed pro-life legislation, and there is no pro-life advocacy group or any group that has ever said we need to make it illegal to remove a miscarried baby
Right.
if necessary.
You got to keep it forever.
It's ridiculous.
It's gotta
No one
stay in.
says that.
It's
It's
gotta
an
stay
insane.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So miscarriage after 24 weeks is called a stillbirth.
Stillbirth.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
correct.
It
You're
was,
correct.
yeah.
That's what I
Oh, you
thought.
are right. You were. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. I
Yeah.
thought it was something else.
Yeah,
It's-
it is
it's-
something else.
It's a
Yeah.
stillbirth.
It's not a miscarriage.
Yep.
Good point.
So in which case, yeah, miscarriage wouldn't be investigated.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's like miscarriage is pre-viability.
I have been shocked by the number of people who are like, well, then are miscarriages abortions? I'm like, no.
No.
It's a horrible, sad thing
Not
that
legal.
just
Yeah.
happens.
Not legally. So the important question.
Spontaneous abortion is sometimes a medical term people use. Yeah, but that's not.
What I mean is, I want to make sure we're addressing their idea
Right.
and not using words that they use differently.
Right. Well, the removal of of an unfortunately miscarried baby is called a D&C, dilation and curettage, which is removing it. Unfortunate, soul crushing.
if the pregnancy has already been terminated
right.
due to
That's not an abortion.
miscarriage or stillbirth, then abortion is the termination of the pregnancy that doesn't result in a live birth, according to the CDC.
Not to start more heated abortion stuff. I'm just gonna disappear.
You're
here.
about
to
to.
get,
No.
and then
Yeah.
just go get
Time.
more expensive whiskey.
Yes.
What's the pro-life stance? Genuinely, this is not a gotcha thing. When on the argument where it's abortions are still going to happen, but not safe and legally. So, a kid who is raped and his parents are going to disown them, or, like some of these. I have friends who were, I've been in relationships with women who were raped and they were afraid to tell their parents because
Right.
that was just the dynamic where they would have been ashamed or whatever. So people who have to then sneak off to get less safe abortions. So the argument essentially saying that, they're still going to happen, but it's just not going to be as safe if you don't have access. Is there sort of like we can do this solution from the pro-life stance on that?
No, that's a really good question. So basically, there's a few points. So there's the point about, people are going to break this law. So what do you have to say about that? And then there's this question of whether there are going to be unsafe procedures if abortion isn't illegal. I think for the first question, I would say anytime we implement any kind of legislation to try to help people or save lives, some people are going to break the law. I don't think that's a good reason not to pass the law. So I know in Texas, even it's difficult to have perfect metrics on this, but we've seen something like a 66% decline in the number of abortions that have happened there. And when it comes to the back alley abortion narrative, this is a mostly mythical idea that's been sold to the American public that prior to Roe v. Wade, because abortion was illegal, you just had thousands of women dying in these risky procedures. Yeah. Bernard Nathanson was an abortion doctor who was, I believe, the founder of an organization called NARAL.
That's right.
And he admitted after he defected from the pro-choice movement that all of the numbers they produced for the number of women who died in back alley abortion procedures were completely fabricated. The media printed them. It wasn't true. So in 1933, there were about 2,700 recorded deaths from abortions and miscarriages together in the entire country. By the time you get to 1945, that number is under 900. And then by 1972, there were 63. And 38% of them happened in states where abortion was legal. The reason is that as penicillin has become more widely available, fewer women die
Or
from abortions
antibiotics, you
and
mean.
miscarriages. Yeah, antibiotics have become more widely available. So it's not as if,
Penicillin's like the Ben and Jerry of the abortion complex.
Well, penicillin's mostly not even in use, I'm pretty sure.
fair, but antibiotics, generally speaking, yeah. So it was an issue of people not having access to antibiotics. And again, before abortion was illegal, 38% of the deaths from abortion were taking place in states where abortion was legal.
How do you deal with any other illegal medical procedure?
Yeah.
I mean, they happen. It's not like we don't see people going out and being like people are illegally selling body parts.
Yeah, I think even Rogan was talking about that, about how there might be more, do they call it like medical tourism, where people kind of crossing state lines if it's going to go state by state to find it.
What was really interesting to me learning the numbers about abortion was what a huge percentage of it is completely just because ladies I don't feel like being pregnant. In fact, Abby Johnson was just talking about a lady who aborted her 16-week-old fetus because she wanted a summer body.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Let's read some more.
I hate it so much.
Brony Ninja says, "Hey, Chicago boys. I'll be in Chicago/Schaumburg in 2 weeks for a Winnie City PonyCon. I've been recommended Giordano's and Lou Malnati's for pizza. Any other places that it'd be cool to check out while there?" Let's see. We have a bunch of Giordano's actually here in the freezer. It is delicious. I love it. I don't eat the crust, though. Just the cheese. Lou Malnati's is also extremely good, and they're both good in different ways. Now, if you want to know the secret, you got to go down to Archer Avenue on the south side of Chicago, and you got to go to one of two places or both. There's Villa Rosa on Archer near Central. I can't remember. Maybe it's on like Latrobe or something. And then there's Danny's Pizza, which is like, maybe that's Latrobe. They're both on Archer. So if you look by Midway Airport, and those are the pizza places that all of my friends and we grew up eating, and that's like the real Chicago pizza. You go to Giordano's and Lou Malnati's, you get the tourist pizza. If you want to get the real square cut, semi-thick crust with thick cheese on it, you go to those places.
That's how I feel about the Philly cheesesteak thing, where they're like, Gino, like the two main ones are not good. And it's just everything in the surrounding area is very good.
All right, let's grab, we'll try and grab a couple more because we went a little over. Christopher Macy says, "Tim, you said people can't grow their own food to feed themselves in cities. Please check out my page on TikTok at Rebuilding Life Gardens 1. This is not true. There are urban gardens that I know about. Places like Detroit, they've created urban gardens, and there's also balcony and rooftop gardens. So I'm sure, I could be wrong, but I wonder if you'd have the acreage to sustain a population of a city. I don't. That's just not possible. You know, So I think if you look at the amount of available arable land in a city versus how many people live there, you'd have to drop it down by 99%. I mean, you can grow some food, right? But I don't think you could. It's impossible to sustain yourself. You know, we've got, I think now with the babies, maybe like 40 chickens, and I'm like, it's great. Every 3 years, you get to eat one when they stop laying. I suppose you can eat it once it's fully grown by like if you're doing broiler hens or something. Maybe you'll eat the roosters.
Or if it upsets you.
But
or if it's just out of line.
Or if someone it loves upsets you.
Right.
But if they're laying eggs, we don't want to eat them, and then they lay for like 3 years. So, but if you have the proper cycle going, you'll always have a couple chickens. But you got to understand, guys, one chicken gets you 2 wings. Jeez. Technically, you got the flats and the drums, so maybe 4. But when you go to a restaurant and you're like, I'm gonna get 12 wings in buffalo sauce, 12. How many chickens? 3 to 6 chickens, depending on if you're getting flats and drums.
Well, Tim, I hope modern science is working on that.
Yep.
Me too.
We can have chickens with 12 wings. Who says? Why not?
Man, old Jamie would have gone on an hour-long vegan tirade. So you're
All right.
welcome, Super Chat.
Thank you.
Theo C says, "I am become James O'Keefe, destroyer of tweeps."
Tweeps, bro.
Gundam Wing says, "I've heard a lot about women's rights and talk about babies when it comes to abortion. What about the father's rights? It takes 2 to make a baby, but I haven't seen anyone talking about the father's rights. Should women get abortions against the father's wishes?" Well, the pro-choice guy, I guess, said men have no choice. So I think he's anti-choice. So I don't know. I think, there's got to be responsibility involved. And there's a serious question about the father's rights, but it's not the father carrying the baby, which is, it is the legal question of the rights in question. So when it came to the Supreme Court decisions, they're like, well, there's the woman, but then there's the baby, and they're both in the same space. The father's not in that space. Right. So I don't know how that would work. But I think we need cultural solutions. I think our culture needs to decide, what we will and will not accept. There are certain things you can't do. There are certain things you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's the woman's body. Because I was trying to think about it, because I'm really going to meditate on a lot of the things you guys said, because it's stuff I legitimately never thought about. When you told the story about the baby who was coming out, like, I gasped because I never heard those stories before. And so I was trying to think about it, but especially, I mean, if you make it equal, I mean, it is the woman's body. It's the government. It's a woman's body. And if you're in an abusive relationship, if, there's so many dicey situations where if it was equal, like, it's not equal. It is in one of our bodies.
It's not ever going to be equal.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Because women carry babies and men don't.
Yeah, period.
But now
Men should
there's
be
a
responsible
viral, maybe we should talk about, there are these viral posts going around of men breastfeeding. I think we should. Let's talk about that because we're talking about these rights. So here's what we'll do: head over to timcast.com, become a member. We're going to address the questions of equality on this issue, but there's viral posts going around. I think Libs of TikTok had it, where men are taking hormone pills to induce lactation so they can share the burden with their wives.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have more whiskey.
Have some more, and this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Timcast.com. I didn't need to know. I'm glad.
You're going to know.
I didn't
and
need
I'm going
to
show
know
you
that.
pictures.
Whiskey time.
Yeah. All right. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show if you really do like it. Again, timcast.com. Sign up if you want to support our work. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. We post on Instagram every day clips from the show, and it's been growing like crazy, so we really appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Timcast. Jamie, you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, Instagram at the Jamie Kilstein. You're probably better off there because I preemptively have a lot of you blocked. I'm so sorry on Twitter from my old days, but my Twitter's at Jamie Kilstein, and the podcast is a F-Ups, but spelled out, guide to the universe, or you can go to jamiekilsteinpodcast.com.
By the way, I can't believe you hypocrites were complaining about the formula shortage and you don't want men to lactate to solve that problem.
Maybe that's
why. You so-called... Yeah, exactly.
That's very
Such a good one.
Hypocrites. So my name is Seamus. I have a YouTube channel called Freedom Tunes. Please go there, check that out. We are also going to be launching the Freedom Tunes website on May 30th. And if you go to that website, sign up for the mailing list right now. There's a little receptacle there for you to put your email. When we launch, we're going to be archiving all of the cartoons there. And also, we are going to be having a paywall up. So for $5 a month, you'll get one extra cartoon per week, and you'll get behind-the-scenes footage, like Tim and I improving the videos we work on together, and commentaries.
Cool. Those are even more funny.
So
to be
those
honest.
are a lot of fun. Yeah.
The chicken one was one of the funniest. Seamus just screaming. People thought it was me screaming.
Well, yes, because that would be appropriate. I mean, that's to be expected from Tim.
That's true. Yeah. I just want to say want to know more about this receptacle where you put your emails for Seamus's site. That sounds terrifying.
I'm saying go to freedomtunes.com, TOONS,
there you
and
go.
you'll be able to drop your email address in there.
That receptacle. I am definitely going to drink whiskey for this episode
Let's
of the
go.
After Show for sure. You guys can follow me on Twitters with the tweeps and minds.com at Sour Patch Lids as well as sourpatchlids.me.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you over at timcast.com talking about lactating men. Have a nice day.